Trillbee man, does whatever a Trillbee can. Does he review Doctor Who? Yeah, but hey, he does movies too! Look out! Here comes a Trillbee man! Oh!
How long have you been thinking of that one?
About 3 hours.
The effort shows.
Oh, man. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Movie Mania podcast, where we talk about past, present, and future. I'm Sherman Trey White, podcast media, and joining me is Trillbee man himself. Hey, Trillbee, how you doing? Oh.
I'm doing good, thanks. And how are you doing?
I was sitting in my kitchen, and I was making breakfast, and I was, like, flipping pancakes. And I had that Michael Giacchino update score in my brain, and I'm just like, da-da-da-da. I'm like, what's the intro going to be this week? And I said, we have to incorporate that theme somehow. And so I just kind of started speaking. It just kind of ended up working, I guess. I don't know.
Very good.
Yeah, thank you, Trillbee. I try. Yes, I'm going to turn up my microphone here just a bit. That way I can be picked up better. That's better. All right. Okay, guys, so this week we'll be talking some movie news, and we'll be talking Baby Driver and other movies that we got to see for the homework section, and then we'll get down to our main event, Spider-Man. Time codes listed down below. Have I already asked you how you're personally doing? I can't remember if I did that 90 seconds ago.
Yeah, well, I'm doing okay. And how about you? I understand you've been doing some filming. I keep an eye on your Instagram, boy.
Thank you for... Oh, yes, way to call a black kid boy, Trillbee. Good work.
Oh, no, I was more like age, as in hip with the kids.
Trillbee, I don't give a fuck. Trillbee, I don't give a fuck. Have you...
I am so not racist that I like to Get Out.
I was going to say... That's like the people in Get Out. Have you seen... Do you watch Rick and Morty? Are you caught up on Rick and Morty at all?
No, but it's on UK Netflix now. It's recently been added, so I'm going to catch up on it.
The new season comes out January 30th, so I want to talk about that new season when it does start coming out. So you want to keep yourself up. Game of Thrones returns this Sunday, but there's a joke about it in Rick and Morty where like someone's like... He moves a black kid out of the way, he's like, watch your going, boy. And then just kind of like belittle him, not like in a racist way. And just the exact way that conversation... It's really funny.
It's a good way to disarm someone immediately.
Yeah. Just to lose all credibility. I have been doing some filming. There's a local film festival in my town of San Antonio, Tejas, which, if you all go on my wiki page, apparently that's still there, so whatever. And yeah, I've been filming with those guys and making some commercials for the festival, which is in a few weeks.
Nice.
So, I mean, if anyone follows me on Snapchat, I won't give my Snapchat on here because I don't want things sent to me that I fear that if I do give my Snapchat
dicks.
away,
The word is dicks.
Well, I mean, I've gotten random other things besides male genitalia, and like it'd be great, 9 months ago, and I didn't have a girlfriend, but because I can't just be on my social media and then suddenly get a picture of. I don't want to say tits. I feel like if I say tits, I'm gonna get half our audience angry at me, but there already are, so it doesn't matter.
Tits and dicks. Mm-hmm. Yep.
TNA, like
sometimes in the same picture, because who are we to judge? Welcome to the Spider-Man Homecoming podcast, everybody.
This is not to any 6-year-old that clicked on this. Like, oh, I like Spider-Man. They just click on this. That's the first thing they hear. You can skip ahead down in the description, little boy. I don't mean boy in the racist one.
But like I said, come back and rein us in,
please. But the moral story is that I've been dead tired the last few days. I've done nothing but filming that and finishing up Equation. It's a fun life, and and then like a week ago, my friend's like, hey, let's go to Chicago, and I'm like, okay. And so now apparently I'm going to Chicago next week, which is fun, touring colleges and whatnot. All right, so you guys know where to find me in the next week. Anybody live in the Chicago area? Tickets for Dunkirk have gone on sale. I'm just letting the world know this, so that in case everyone's excited for Dunkirk like I am, tickets for Dunkirk are on sale. The movie's only an hour and 46 minutes, which I'm like, okay, like I don't understand. That's like Christopher Nolan's like shortest movie ever, right? It's got to be. Doesn't even clock in at 2 hours. Yeah,
he's one who doesn't mind really making use of like audience's time. Like if he wants you there for 3 hours, he will have you there for 3 hours.
He'll sit you down and have you watch Interstellar for 4 days. Yeah,
exactly. And it will be just like an Interstellar where you'll be on the planet for a minute, but you've actually been But then when you come out of the movie theatre, it's actually been 20 years.
You walk out, it's like, guys, Star Wars is already out. What?
You go into a 1977 movie theatre to watch Star Wars. You come out, and The Force Awakens has just been released. Force Awakens just came out.
It's like, you guys have a lot of catching up to do. Oh my god, that's alright. That reminds me of that great picture of like when Doc and Marty get to 2015. He's like, "Wait, Doc, hold on, let's stay." But Star Wars is coming out in 2 months. I was like, yeah, but yeah, it's out and 70mm tickets and everything, all that now. Speaking of Christopher Nolan, I feel like every time he makes a movie now, he just has like a 70mm IMAX camera in his backyard, and he just he refuses to not use it anymore. Like apparently he shot like 75% of this movie with it.
Which as long as the aspect ratio isn't changing every frame, I'm okay with that.
I doubt it will. Nolan doesn't. I mean, Dark Knight Rises.
Nolan gives a shit.
Yeah, well, Dark Knight Rises got a little ridiculous in the third act, where it was like, oh, let's shoot the gore stuff outside with the IMAX camera, but all the stuff inside on a regular camera. I'm like, but why, Nolan? Just shoot the whole sequence and whatever. All right.
For someone who's looking forward to it, you seem to be bashing Dunkirk a lot.
Well, I'm bashing Dark Knight Rises, even though I really do like that movie. Not to mention I'm running on lack of sleep. This ought to be a fun one.
Yay.
But speaking of not giving a shit, Trilby, let's get to the movie news.
Ladies and gentlemen, can I please have your attention? I've just been handed an urgent and horrifying news story. Cannonball!
Alright guys, this is the movie news portion of the show. In which case we talk about the movie news from the past week or so. Woo! Finally! It took like 6 weeks to not mess that intro up. Okay, so for starters, The Inhumans had been Marvel's literally redheaded stepchild for a few years now. I mean, I think I first ever heard about the Inhumans movie happening back when they did their whole Slate thing in October of 2014, when they announced that, like, Serpent Society, Jokes, Civil War, Infinity War Parts 1 and 2, no Spider-Man yet, Thor was still coming out in July, and they were like, Inhumans 2019, I was like, what is that? And I looked it up, and I was like, oh, that's just they're doing X-Men, but they can't call them X-Men, they're calling them Inhumans. I'm like, that's sick. And then, like, that split happened with Kevin Feige and Mike Perlmutter, I think his name is, the TV guy at Marvel. And then they moved Inhumans to ABC, and I lost all interest. And then the trailer came out for Inhumans, and they shot the pilot, I think, which is like a 2-part pilot. Excuse me, they shot it with IMAX cameras, which is pretty neat. And you would think that if you spent the money to get these... I'm kidding, they probably just had them on set, that they probably stole them for 2 days. Marvel shoots everything with those bloody cameras
Literal
these days.
theft.
I'm just saying, it's all in the same lots in Georgia, and so you think that if they shot it in IMAX, it wouldn't look so awful. Like, I thought only Michael Bay was able to make IMAX look terrible.
Sorry, I guess I'm so disinterested in the Inhumans. I was just thinking how a Marvel Studios robbery would take place. They just think, okay, we'll just get Chris Evans to go to the front desk and distract them with his charisma and celebrity status, while Robert Downey Jr., Tom Holland, Chris Pratt, Scarlett Johansson just go around the back and just sneak out the IMAX cameras.
And it's all planned by Kevin Feige. Kevin Feige is the George Clooney of this whole operation.
Yeah, while Samuel L. Jackson is watching from a bunch of screens.
You gotta have the...
And then he drives them away in the getaway car going, get me off the grid!
Just
get to the Inhuman set.
It's Paul Bettany dressed up as Vision as the getaway driver.
That'd be pretty... And he's got the sweater as well.
Yeah, I love Vision in a sweater.
But yeah, someone who doesn't... I don't know much about the Inhumans. They're really a corner of the Marvel comics universe that I've just paid no attention to. All I know is that Vin Diesel was going to be part of the movie. He was in talks, allegedly, to be part of the Inhumans movie as Black Bolt. But that's really as far as it got from the movie perspective. Yeah. And I think they had that terrible photo where they had Medusa, played by Serinda Swan, who just had the awful, terrible wig, even though the wig and her hair is just the quintessential aspect of her superheroics.
Yeah.
At least they've got the teleporting dog.
Do they though? It looks worse than the pigs trophy. It's like Look, all I'm saying that if this is your like first step forward, if this is you unveiling the Inhumans to the world, way to mess it up, and way to have just so much disinterest from the entire world. Because everyone's like, oh, at least the dog looks kind of like, it doesn't though. You're excusing the poor CGI because it's on TV, but I can point to several shows that have very good CG, and I'm not just referring to Game of Thrones. You know what I'm saying? Like, you don't have to. Game of Thrones is the prime example, obviously. I mean, just look at the dire wolves, but like, you don't. They're away, and the teleport effect looks odd. Like they like. You ever seen the show Wizards of Waverly Place on Disney Channel? It looks just like that. And I'm like, what? I'm like, did you guys just copy and paste that effect from your other Disney show to put it on this one? And why ABC? Like, I can everything on Netflix doesn't have to be super dark and brooding, serious, action kung fu. You can have this be, you can have some variety on Netflix as well. Everything on ABC doesn't. I don't think
with Inhumans, with them using the IMAX cameras, because of the clarity of the image and like the image quality, you can really see that it looks like they are playing costume. They're in cosplay. They're basically in very poorly constructed sets, because they actually are in poorly constructed sets. Yeah. It's kind of like when The Hobbit went 48 frames per second, and people were saying that you can tell they're in costumes. You can tell they're on a set. Personally, I didn't mind it because, I basically go day in, day out on film sets in costumes. I know to look out for that.
With The Hobbit, like, everything felt like, when you play the PlayStation and you can have, when you're watching a video, you can have it go like 1.5 times faster. Everything looked like it was during the, the scenes when Bilbo or some other guy has the ring on and it looks all weird and like wifty and whatever. It looks like everyone just had the ring on the entire time.
Yeah, I get it. But with the IMAX cameras for Inhumans and the incredibly low budget that they're trying to make the most out of, the clarity of the image does not do that cheapness any favors, because you can see the strings. You can see that even though this is meant to be some hyper advanced moon base that they're on, it just looks like they're in just white buildings.
A studio lot on the Georgia set, yeah.
It just looks really lacking in thought, or lacking in any sort of creativity. And then they just get transported to contemporary, is it New York? Generic city.
It's Vancouver. I mean, it's Vancouver or Georgia. But like, what it actually is. But like, there's so many movies out there and so many like different effects of the moon that I'm like, why don't you just... It's ILM, I would imagine, does the visual effects, right? ILM, it's all Disney, and I'd imagine it'd be ILM that does the visual effects. ILM does.
I don't know about ABC. I don't.
Well, it's all Disney.
ABC is Disney, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'm like, ILM also does the visual effects for Transformers. So you have like 2-3 movies of Transformers Moon stuff, and I don't know how visual effects works, but I would imagine that hell, you could just copy, cut out the shape of the moon from Transformers 3 and just plug that there, and then put your bloody wall there, superimpose your wall there, and then there are ways to, what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get
Cloud City in the 1997 special edition looks better than this, and it shouldn't look better, but it does. Like, what is this?
No, it feels like they're maybe using the IMAX gimmick to make it look good on a big screen, but I have a feeling that once those initial 2 episodes are done, unless the quality is there and the word of mouth is good, I can see this series maybe not lasting beyond the 8 episodes it's currently slated for. But we'll see. I think it's got a decent cast. I just, my fingers are crossed for it.
Yeah, the accents are all weird, and like just have Ramsey Bolton just have the brother speak English, have an English accent. There's no reason to have him be like, I'm going to talk like this. Like, what is that? What do you? It's not, people don't talk like that. My grandpa on the moon, but like, come on, man.
Which is weird because the guy's a good actor.
Yeah, he's fantastic.
He's great in Game of Thrones. He's great in Misfits, which is a really good UK TV series. If you've not seen Misfits, basically, it's a bunch of juvenile delinquents who they're in the middle of this thunderstorm, and then everyone who is in the area around this thunderstorm gets superpowers, and his power is invisibility. Well, the series has got no budget, but it makes such great use of its resources. I really recommend you watch Misfits if you can.
All right, well, I'll add it to my list.
And also, a growing list.
Yeah. Also, when Black Bolt whispers, he can level a building, but he grunts and only flips a car. Okay.
Yeah. No budget.
Nope.
No. And you just know that
there are so many visual effects shots of buildings collapsing at this point. We can do that, guys. This isn't that hard.
You're Disney. Just demolish a building.
Yeah, man. You
Literally
earned back your Star Wars budget before the movie even came out. Like you can't throw $10 million at Inhumans. House of Cards has a budget of $100 million. That's House of Cards, man. Like, half that goes to Kevin Spacey, I guess. Like, what? I didn't realize that this was going to be so difficult to do, Trill. Maybe they just don't care. Maybe they just can't find any shits to give.
It feels like with the Inhumans movie, they did a lot of pre-production, they did a lot of concept art, a lot of prep, and then they thought, oh, we're not doing a movie anymore. You know, we've got all these pictures and all of these ideas. Just, do you want to do 8 episodes? It just feels like that indifferent attitude.
Especially
like, we've got
episodes.
the stuff.
If it's only 8 episodes, then you've got a budget to work with. Like, I understand if it was like 22, then I'm like, okay, yeah, spread that stuff thin. You know, have some episodes set place in only one room. But this is 8 episodes.
I've just gone onto the trailer itself from the Marvel YouTube channel. 70,000 likes, but 36,000 dislikes.
Yeah, no, the world is not a fan.
And the number 1 rated comment is just a list of things wrong in just 1 minute 56 of footage, and he's got a list of 25 things saying what's wrong with everything. Like point 19, filming on IMAX cameras just highlights the low budget effects and makeup. 17, Black Bolt should be able to fly. 16, Black Bolt can't even beat down a couple of policemen's batons. A bitch, please. I guess people aren't really taken to this trailer, so they've got a big uphill battle after the poster and the original production image.
Yeah, I don't know. I just and you introduce Black Bolt, so you can do things that they did in the comics, and you can. It's like you have the opportunity to. Illuminati, but they can't do Illuminati right now because Fox want to play fair. I just want my Illuminati movie, man. Anyways, no, I mean, not like 13 people out in the world get that reference, but you guys that do get it know what I'm talking about. Comic books. All right, Shelby. Speaking of comic books, Matt Reeves was spiking. Matt Reeves was talking about.
Someone spiked Matt Reeves' drink.
Matt Reeves was talking about the Batman. Because we always forget Matt Reeves is directing the Batman. So, in good news, and he was talking about the tone of the Batman and kind of the feel of it, and he described it far more closer to a noir thriller, which really excites me. Apparently, he has like Hitchcockian influence on it, which really makes me happy. What do you think about that, Shelby?
Well, I think he's absolutely the right guy to tackle the material. He gets character, he gets visual storytelling. I think that. Personally, when it comes to the Ape series, I think the Rupert Wyatt Rise of the Planet of the Apes is the best of the two. I've yet to see War for the Planet of the Apes. I'm seeing it Tuesday or Wednesday.
Yeah.
That's mainly because I like the ape stuff more in Dawn, but I think the human stuff in Rise is what tips it over slightly for me.
I think Rise has more emotion than Dawn. Hell, we could have talked about those movies. I think Rise has more human elements, like the emotion is there, but I really like the dynamic between Koba and Caesar in Dawn. Also, I have not seen War for the Planet of the Apes, but Shelby, I'll make a bet with you right now that our favorite Oscar loser is not going to make it out of this trilogy. I'll tell you that right now.
So you don't think that Caesar, played by Andy Serkis, is going to make it out the trilogy?
Absolutely not. No way. If Monkey Jesus is going what I think he's going to do, there's no way he lives to see the end of that movie. Oh man,
I hope he gets frozen in carbonite.
Dude, yes.
That has nothing to do with anything.
That'd be a great transition to our next news story, but we haven't finished talking about Batman. But yeah, you're saying.
But yeah, he's saying all the right things. I'm just wondering how much input Ben Affleck has on the script, and just because I know that Ben Affleck obviously is going through some difficulties at the moment, and whether or not he wants to be Batman is just like in the long term is completely up in the air. But I think DC are going through a massive shift at the moment. It's like they've realised that, yes, Batman, Superman and Suicide Squad made a lot of money, but they could have made a hell of a lot more money if they'd been well received. Let's just pull the brakes on. Let's maybe go in a more Wonder Woman direction. Let's readjust the reshoots for Justice League. I
think Joss Whedon will turn them around.
Yeah, well, let's get Aquaman right, because James Wan, I think, is a really great filmmaker, and if anything's wrong with Aquaman, it will be the system and not him. But yeah, I think that they're going in the right direction. Matt Reeves is absolutely the right guy to take the material, I think. But yeah, like I said, he's just saying all the right things, and I think he gets the character, and he's riding on a high at the moment after the Two Apes films. Because I've not seen War yet, but just the critical accolades are off the charts at the moment. So
everyone is loving it, and if that means anything, that means you won't like it as much, Charlie. So get excited for that.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna be that one guy who's like, war was the worst. Bring back the plastic suits. I'm gonna be that guy.
I want a dancing Helena Bonham Carter rape.
He's like, bring back Helena Bonham Carter.
I want Paul Giamatti. Look, I don't hate.
Who needs Gary Oldman? Bring back Mark Wahlberg.
I was gonna say.
What? No.
Yeah, let's bring back that weird monkey human love making that they were trying to hint towards.
Very weird.
All right. Yeah, that was.
So what do you think about it all?
I think it's.
Oh, have you commented on
it? It confuses me, definitely, in the sense that I don't know if the villain, because I don't know if that means Deathstroke is still going to be the villain. I would love if Deathstroke isn't the villain anymore, because I don't know if Deathstroke works with the noir film they're going for, unless they're going for more of a Blade Runner kind of thing, in which case I guess that makes sense. And I know it's going to be an action film, and I know there's going to be a lot of action in it, because it has to, but I would love if this was a far more subdued kind of film, you know what I mean? Like, a far more, detective-esque story. I would love for a villain like the Riddler or somebody to be in it, someone that can really mess with Batman mentally, you know what I'm saying? Some of the best Batman films are the ones that tackle Batman at his core, Mask of the Phantasm, which is fantastic, The Dark Knight, Batman 89, less Batman 89, that's very campy, but those two, Mask of the Phantasm and Dark Knight, those villains really know how to get Batman where it hurts, and I don't know, I just think that if we are going for a noir style film, I think we should rethink whether or not we want an assassin like Deathstroke to just be going after Batman the entire movie.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think what fans are really going to gravitate to from what these comments, like the response to these comments, I mean, is that people want Batman the Telltale series as opposed to Batman the Arkham series, which is not very detective driven, very action, confrontation, massive tank, lots of fist fights and stuff, whereas the Telltale series is a lot more character driven and more detective work, more methodical. And I think Warner Brothers would appreciate that as well, because it probably wouldn't be nearly as expensive.
Absolutely.
I think, just do a bunch of night shoots in Chicago, shoot it for $80 or $90 million or whatever. I think I'd also like to see maybe an ensemble cast of villains, not necessarily have 20 main villains or whatever, but maybe there's a scene where Batman
Condiment Man, Clock King.
Yes. Yeah, he goes to maybe he needs some information, so he goes to the Penguin's nightclub just to interrogate him or talk to him, and then you've introduced the Penguin in this universe, and then he could have an encounter with Deathstroke and maybe meet Catwoman on the roof or whatever. I'm not saying throw in every single villain from the comic book series, but I think you could actually find a good way to organically introduce these characters. Arkham Asylum, even though it's action driven.
Yeah, I mean, your story, your Batman story could just be a day in the night of, Batman goes out at night to hunt down. Maybe we start maybe by having him take down, I don't know, Joker or somebody. And then you'd be like, who's this guy murdering people? And the serial killer, Batman has to hunt down a serial killer. And everyone's thinking, oh, maybe it's Victor Zsasz or Two-Face or somebody. And it turned out to be Tommy Elliott. And then that way we can kind of get into the Batman's past, which is, movies love to do that. And, what I'm saying?
I love that idea of just take Dredd. Instead of Peachtree's, it's Gotham City, and it's just the toughest night of Batman's life.
Yeah, I mean, everyone does like the idea of like that, like Arkham, and to say, oh, have Batman just trapped in a place with a bunch of villains, just have him fight that. And while I think that does work for a more of subdued, quieter Batman story, now that they've expressed to us the idea of let's have Batman do some more detective work, I'm like, that to me is far more appealing at this point than just hitting another movie where Batman gets to punch people for 2 hours. Because while it's great to watch Ben Affleck as Batman kick the crap out of guys for 2 hours, I would love watching that. I think as a film fan and one who wants more variety in the superhero genre, I would far more love to see kind of like a 50s detective drama, or something like Sin City with less drugs,
More drugs for Batman, just constant painkillers. But for I would kind of like it to succeed for the reasons I wanted Fantastic to succeed before I actually saw it, where it's a successful, critically acclaimed superhero movie that isn't full of loads of explosions and CGI fights in the third act and stuff, but it's something that is more character driven and more subdued and quieter. I think that would be something I would like to see as even just counter programming in the superhero genre.
Okay, yeah, and I think we're on the same page tonight when we say that, because, when we will get to Spider-Man sooner or later, and I think my favorite part about that film is that it feels different than other MCU movies, not necessarily in tone, but in style, in genre, if you will. It falls more towards Winter Soldier in that respect, of where it's not just an action movie where a good guy stop a bad guy. It's more of it's a high school drama, or high school comedy, I guess. It makes more sense. Like a John Hughes flick, and that's far more entertaining than just let's watch Spider-Man punch people for 2 hours. Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's kind of like how Logan is basically a western. It is Shane, it is Unforgiven, but in the comic book genre. And I think that sort of evolution is how comic book movies are going to remain relevant and remain engaging as like there's a reason people didn't really respond that much to Suicide Squad outside of its punk rock aesthetic from last year. And like Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Out of the Shadow, it was just another one where there was a thing in the sky and you had to stop it.
Like Wonder Woman. I think Wonder Woman was a prime example of doing the movie where they just fight a bad guy, but I think because they were able to do things like actually build a character and have good representation beyond underneath, things under the surface, good theming
it was strong on theme and strong in emotion as well, which is what audiences really gravitated towards, and I think Warner Brothers is going to definitely make note of that.
Absolutely. And so like I said, DC seems to be going in the right direction, and it's a shame that Snyder is not as part of this universe as he used to be. It's a shame. It's a shame that he had to leave for those kinds of reasons. But taking that out of the scenario, and like I said a few weeks ago, this is going to sound terrible. That this is a good thing that has happened to DC, despite all the tragedy surrounding it. I think the everlasting what's the word I'm looking for? Not consequences, not ripple effect. Repercussions. There it is. The repercussions of Zack Snyder leaving, I think, will be very good for the DCEU moving forward. Thank you, Charlie.
It'll be interesting how what comes from Comic-Con in a couple of weeks' time.
Apparently, we're getting Aquaman. That's what I read. Yeah.
That'd be fun, but whether or not, because the only DC movies in active development right now are Justice League and Aquaman. Will they announce a new slate? Will they fast track Shazam? Will they announce another director?
I know Batman's in pre-production. The Batman is in pre-production.
Yes, we just don't really have a proper release date for that yet. Like, there's been talks of 2019, 2020, but hopefully we might actually get a solid release date now that Matt Reeves has got a free calendar for now.
I'm pretty sure it's confirmed that Patty Jenkins is directing Wonder Woman 2.
That's not 100% confirmed. She's still in negotiations, but they'd be stupid not to do it.
The big movies they're talking about right now, beyond just one announcement, are there's been constant report of a Man of Steel sequel. I read
George Miller from Man of Steel 2, make it happen.
Yeah, everyone's been talking about George Miller. I mean, sure, I'm more on the Matthew Vaughn train. I think he's doing Master of Universe, so that's fine. The Kingsman 2 is out in September?
September, October.
Yeah, that's really... that's the perfect place to put Kingsman. I'm so excited.
Have you seen there's been a TV spot for it, like, in the past couple of days, and it looks good. It's only like a 20-second thing.
Kind of don't want to watch any more trailers for it unless I'm in the movie theater. So, like, I'm kind of avoiding all the footage. I'm like, I don't want to see any more. Going there. I'll be there Thursday night, so...
I'm just looking at Wikipedia now, which is not a 100% ironclad source, just to clarify. But like George Miller, the only thing he's got lined up is Mad Max: The Wasteland, which is writing, directing, and producing, and that's it. And for Matthew Vaughn, he's got Kingsman: The Golden Circle, and he's directing and producing a film called I Am Pilgrim.
Okay.
Which is a book. It's a crime spy book. Not sure that. Well, I've seen the cover about. I recognise the cover.
Okay.
But yeah, it gives a small scale thrill about the looks of it. So
right on.
Yeah, you could have time to do all the good stuff. You could have time to.
Okay. Alright. Well, we've got plenty of movies to look forward to. I'm so excited for that Flash teaser. Alright. I'm so excited for that Flash teaser.
Who is going to be the 5th, or is it the 4th director for The Flash?
Let's see.
It's going to be the first 2 again.
Yeah, they might just give it back to Lord and Miller.
Apparently they've had talks.
I like to imagine the guy who runs Warner Brothers, like Jeff Johns, like calls up, like Skypes up Phil Lord and Chris Miller, and like they answers to middle finger pointing at him, like, like, what do you think of that? Like, oh, you wanted to leave for Star Wars, did you?
It's like it was like in The Simpsons when it's in the Maggie Makes 3 episode where they go back to the birth of Maggie in a flashback. And Homer leaves his job at the power plant, but then he has to come back to it. And because he's come back after previously walking away, he's got to walk through a cat flap. So he walks into the office, and Mr. Burns is like, "Oh, look who came crawling back." I bet Warner Brothers are set up like that.
Came crawling back. Oh, okay.
Don't forget, you're here forever.
Speaking of Lord and Miller, there's more Han Solo drama from the looks of it. Apparently, from what I've read, they have fired their editor, and they've had an acting coach put on set. Trillbee, they hired an acting coach 5 months into production. Trillbee, are we getting this movie in what, 8 months, 10 months? I'm not good at math.
Yeah, May 2018.
That's not far away, Trillbee. That's next year.
The editor, that is a red flag. They fired Chris Dickens and replaced him with Pietro Scalia, who is a director who's mostly done Ridley Scott films for the past few years. He's the editor.
Great.
He's the editor of Gladiator, editor of Alien Covenant, The Martian, etc., etc. So, not a bad choice. He's also the editor for The Amazing Spider-Man 2, and we don't talk about that movie anymore. So that is the biggest red flag for me. In terms of an acting coach, it's not that... Like, for example, Tom Holland, he didn't necessarily have an acting coach, but he had a dialect coach on every single day he was filming Spider-Man Homecoming to get his American accent.
That's different.
That is different, but in terms of having people just helping the cast and helping the actors as they go along, if you've got the budget for it, I think I'd rather that they had one, that they'd have one on set and not need him, as opposed to need him and not have one. I think,
but they hired him. They hired that Spider-Man guy day one, I would imagine. Not like 5 months in.
Yeah, that's weird if it is 5 months, but if they are doing a massive tonal change, or if they are reshooting something completely different from what Lord and Miller were doing, maybe they just wanted that safety net. I don't think the acting coach is a massive deal. Like, for me, the editor is the bigger deal, because an editor very much dictates the tone and the pace and the feel of the movie.
Absolutely. The editor is one of the most important people in your production, because an editor can make your movie feel. That's why when you go on YouTube and you like this movie as a horror film, like The Incredibles as a Christopher Nolan flick, like that's why those are able to work, because they're able to edit things differently. I love watching those videos, by the way. Directed by Michael Bay is hilarious.
There was a story that I think it was the Hollywood Reporter that said that one of the kind of straws that broke the camel's back in terms of Lord and Miller's relationship with Kathleen Kennedy was that they normally start shooting at 8 or 9 a.m. and they'd have 12 to 15 shots to do a day. But what happened was that they didn't start filming until 1 or 2 p.m. and they only got 3 shots done that day. Which means that there's so much limited choices in the editing room and there's so little to work with. So maybe getting a new editor makes sense. But in terms of the progress that Lord and Miller were making, if they were getting days like that, time is money. If you don't film 8 or 9 shots in a day that you're scheduled to do, that pushes the whole production back.
Oh yes, absolutely.
That screws everything over.
If you plan to do
on those days,
no
one likes those.
if you plan to do 9 shots a day and you end up doing 3, that's literally a third of your. You're only doing a third of what you plan to do, which is an extra. And at that pace, with using that basic math, that's 2 extra days of production per day that you mess up. You know what I'm saying? Like, you would either have to double down on certain days, or that, you know what, if that is what was going on, if that, I don't blame Kathleen Kennedy for saying, let's take another look at this. But at the same time. And then you've got they've been going at this for 5 months, though. Yeah. No one thought to make a phone call until until apparently Alden Ehrenreich made the phone call. You didn't think to make a phone call in, I don't know, February?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it is that 5 month. It is that 5 month wait that is easily the biggest question mark of across this whole debacle. And but I think
Lego movie a movie like the Lego Movie seems so so mandated and so micromanaged down to every detail and reference, and it just doesn't make sense to me that the guys that made the Lego movie with so much going on in it, that it feels like every single detail was planned and structured out, and this and that, and I feel like kind of everything had to be storyboard and done perfectively like this for them just to mess up on the set of Han Solo. That just doesn't make any sense to me. I feel like there's something else missing here that we're not hearing.
I get the idea. This isn't hardly me being an insider source or whatever, but this is just what I assume happens for films of this scale. They probably previs everything. They'd storyboard every shot. They'd do a previs just to get the pace and tone of the movie, so they can, once they're on sets, they know exactly what they're doing. Lord and Miller strike me as the type of guys who would be like, okay, we've got this setting, we've got these actors, we've got this kind of rough outline for what we're filming today. Let's just improvise it. Let's just go. Let's have fun with the actors. Let's just make real funny stuff on the day. I think that those two styles completely contrast with each other, which not one isn't necessarily better than the other, but it just, once again, why did this take 5 months?
And aren't producers on set? Aren't people like that on set watching the production?
They should be. Not every day, but a good portion of the day.
I would imagine Kevin Feige's on the set of Thor, then he's like, oh, let's go to Infinity War set, let's check out this on this day. I'll make a visit by Daredevil if I have the time. I don't...
Yeah, even if it's just poking their heads through the studio
just
door,
to make sure, apparently someone told Kevin Feige, Kevin Feige told somebody on the day of the Marvel press conference they did, that he was approving things for Ant-Man, as he was walking on stage, he apparently was looking at clips for the Ant-Man trailer they were planning, and I'm like, that to me seems like that's apparently maybe Kevin Feige is just a cokehead and just does a lot of cocaine, and he's able to keep and that's why he's so mentally ticky and just twitchy and always trying to do something that he just has to keep his eye on everything. Maybe Kathleen Kennedy isn't like that, but I feel like Kevin Feige's been doing this. And look, to be fair, there are only 3 movies. This will be their 4th movie in the rebooted franchise. Mm-hmm. So the 4th movie in the reboot MCU franchise was Thor. So I can't give them too much flack.
Third one was Iron Man 2.
Iron Man 2.
4th one was Thor.
So I can't. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, so I can't get too angry at them because they're still trying to find their footing. But at the same time, $4 billion. That's all I'm gonna say. You've got to know what you're doing. When George Lucas was like, Kathleen, I kind of want you to be president of Lucasfilm. She should have known that she was. And then you get Ron goddamn Howard and you keep calling Trevorrow. What do you I'm so frustrated with Disney right now.
Well, see, whenever I get frustrated, I'm now just going to think of this Kevin Feige as a cokehead idea that you've put in my head. When he was doing that interview with Amy Pascal, where she basically said, "Oh, Venom and Spider-Man, they're all in the same universe," and then he looks over at her and is like, "I've got to share my coke." That's the confused look that.
Or he's like, "Did you get into my drugs?" That's exactly what she's thinking.
God, and I thought I was baked.
Oh man, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
All right.
But yeah, well, they're not going to be mentioning Han Solo at D23 in a week or two's time. So it'll all be Last Jedi.
Yeah, all Last Jedi stuff. They you know, in a different world, we would have gotten an announcement of what the third spinoff was. We're not getting that this year, which is upsetting, but we're not getting that this year. What year was it that... When did Josh Trank lost... Yeah, because they've only been doing it for like the last couple of years. Yeah, it was 2015.
It was around the release
so, like,
of Fan Four Stick.
Yeah, it was because Celebration was in April and Fan Four Stick was August. And so they announced, they were like, "Oh, sorry, Josh Trank has a cold, so he couldn't be there." I think that's the moment I knew something was wrong, because I'm like, even if Josh Trank could have Ebola and he would be sitting in his hospital bed bleeding from his pores and recording a video from his phone, being like, "Hey guys, I'm so happy I'm sorry I couldn't make it, but we're working hard here on whatever movie he was working on." It was probably, I think it was Boba Fett that they said he was working on, and they dropped it. Apparently Michael B. Jordan's gonna be Boba Fett, and that sounds really hype. It's really hype, and they're not doing it anymore, and now I'm sad.
See, I'm just, if this was a comedy series, it would be like, Josh Trank's not able to make it today, he's feeling a bit under the weather. Then it cuts to the apartment that he trashed on the set of Fan Four Stick, allegedly, and people are just kicking the hell out of him. It's all Disney security.
They're all
Mickey Mouse is over there going, "Take this, you a-hole!"
like Mickey, like Donald and Goofy have him tied up to a tree, like holding him down, and Mickey comes in.
And Donald Duck is there with a cricket bat.
I was gonna say they've got a bat in their head. And
I wouldn't even
it's like
attempt
Office,
to do
it's like
a
Office
Donald
Space.
Duck impression.
It's like Office Space. It's just Mickey comes in. I'll show
Rough him
you.
up, boys.
He's got a cigar in his mouth. I'll show you mess with the mouse. Let's go to the Magic Kingdom, boys. And they just like start whacking him with the bat.
Make sure he never grows up, boys. It's just a direct death threat. Anywho.
And then he takes a cigar and he's like, "You got kids?"
No, I've just got this image of Mickey Mouse taking the cigar out and putting it out on Josh Trank's arm.
I like to imagine like Mickey Mouse is like the main guy, like the main boss from Space Jam, like the main big guy alien. Oh. It's like Goofy's like this really big bruiser. Gosh.
Oh, no, yeah, Goofy is basically, he takes the Goofy costume off and he's Pete.
No, like Josh Trank isn't breaking, and Mickey just goes, "Oh, someone go get Pete," and like you see this giant guy just walk in with like a shotgun. Oh, I love this universe we've made. You know, that's probably what happened to Amy Pascal. What she said. When she said, he's like, "There's someone that will see you backstage." And then you just see him like it's a walkie-talkie that says, "Get Petey."
Except for Marvel Studios, it's just Mickey Mouse in the Iron Man outfit.
It's Mickey Mouse kicking the crap out of her with a Captain America's shield.
Yeah, no, and Goofy is in the Spider-Man costume in interrogation mode.
Oh my god!
That's a joke from Spider-Man: Homecoming. If you've not yet seen it.
Oh my god! Okay.
and then Goofy's in the black suited Spider-Man costume.
Oh.
And turns into Goofy Venom.
Jesus Christ!
Someone animate this.
I can only imagine what the Pixar was going to look like.
Oh no! It's basically the toy graveyard from the first.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. They just drop you in there. They stick you with a needle and suddenly you're in Sid's house from Toy Story. Oh, all right, Shelby. Let's get to the homework.
This week, each one of you has a homework assignment.
Your homework is to listen to some real music, get inspired.
Is this your homework, Larry?
Down with homework?
Alright guys, this is the homework portion of the show, which case we were either see movies that we were assigned to see, or just saw on our own. I forgot to take a breath before that, so I just kind of had to all the air had to go out at once.
Sorry, you sound like you're in pain. Has Mickey Mouse been messing you up?
As I get handed my Disney check, I'm like in a cast, yeah. Trilby, we both saw Baby Driver, didn't we?
Yes, I saw it the week before and gave it like a spoiler-free talk, but you've seen it this week, so we can proper go spoilerific if you wanted to.
I think I saw it the Sunday because we recorded the last night podcast I think a couple Sundays ago, and then I saw it that Tuesday. I went to the Tuesday night. I went to the midnight screening, and it is as good as the world is. It's been out for about a week and a half now. And if you guys have not seen Baby Driver, I can't recommend it more. Now, and this is a problem I have. I think that happens with every popular movie out there, whether it be Get Out, Logan, any movie that comes out, everyone's like, it's the best thing ever. You can't, well, first of all, you can't walk in, and one of my biggest issues, I guess, with movies is when people say, I have to give this movie a lower score because it wasn't the best thing of all time that everyone said it was. I kind of don't like it when people take a point out of the movie because it was hyped up for them, you know what I mean? Like, that's something that kind of always bothered me, because, like, that's not the movie's fault. Like, I feel like you should take that out of it, you know what I'm saying? I don't know, maybe it's all about how much you enjoy a film, for sure, but there's something about taking a movie, like, talking points because it wasn't as good as you heard it. Like, I don't know how to express this without sounding odd. I don't know, like, when people feel like, oh, the movie was overhyped, so I don't like it as much. Like, that doesn't seem right to me. I don't know how to explain it, because I saw a lot of people that were saying, I'm going to dock off points for Baby Driver because it wasn't the best thing ever, like everyone said it was. It was like, I thought it was, like, example, everyone says it was 10 out of 10. I thought it was closer to an 8, so it gets a 7.5. I'm like, what does that even mean? Like, what is, like,
yeah, that logic.
You see what I'm saying? Like, that doesn't, like, and I saw like a dozen people that, like, had that sentiment. I'm like, what? You can't just dock off points because other people ruined a movie for it. Like, that's not the movie's fault. But that aside, I did see it, and it's fantastic. Just don't walk in expecting it to be the best movie of all time, because just in case it's not. But it is really good.
It's why I said in my initial review a few weeks ago, saying that you don't go in expecting some super elaborate, really intense, in-depth thing, because Baby Driver is just, it's relatively simple in terms of its structure, and it's a heist film. Mm-hmm. You're not going to get a car going out of an airplane like a Fast and Furious film. Like, it is.
Thank God.
It is. Yeah, well, that's a good thing, but it's just relatively grounded car chases with an incredible soundtrack.
Yes.
And just a great energy and lifeblood to it.
Sorry, yeah, just jamming out for like.
Yeah, well, the opening credits are awesome as well. Vance Elgort just like lip syncing and singing it while he's at the front seat and he's watching the heist happen through the windows of the bank.
Yeah,
that just perfectly sets the tone for the movie, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone in the film is fantastic. You can tell they're all having a great time on set. I know you commented that Edgar Wright had music playing during the scenes that they were shooting, and it's incredibly you can tell, and it definitely helps with the actors, and it's just, there's something about. You're right how it talks about music and how music can connect to people. Apparently, the woman that sings that song, I think it's Baby or whatever, that sings that song in the movie, they took her to see the movie and she really enjoyed it. And I'm like, that's a nice plus.
Nice.
Also, Edgar Wright liked my tweet. It was nice. It was pretty sweet. It was nice. Yeah, I tweeted about it and I was like, it was really good and everyone go out and see it. And he liked it. I was like, I think it was the first one to like, and I was like, yay.
Yeah. You've got a stalker, boy.
Thank God. Follow me, please.
From what I can tell, he's not even watched my 35 minute analysis of Shaun of the Dead, the dick.
Look,
but he likes your tweet. Get out of here, boy.
To be fair, he's like 13,000 tweets, so I mean, I'm not that special. Yeah, no, but it was pretty.
I'm joking anyway. But from what I can tell, the only extensive visual effects in this film were during the one take sequence where he's walking down the street getting the coffee, and they use CGI to put the lyrics on the walls and on the pavement. That was CGI there.
That was really cool. I really.
But the rest of the stuff was completely practical, which is awesome.
And I guess I should just give my brief thoughts about it before we jump into spoilers here. If you're someone that doesn't think if there are enough good movies out right now, and if you're someone that says, I can't, I don't like that Hollywood just does nothing but put out sequels and remakes, which is not true, but whatever. That all that Hollywood does is put out sequels and remakes and reboots and all does the same thing over and over again. If you're someone that feels like that's happening in Hollywood, then I don't know why you haven't seen this movie already. Because my dog loves to bark when I'm podcasting. Because
is that Baby Driver? You're talking about Baby Driver? Let me talk about it. That's basically the dog.
Yeah, she loves it because Baby Driver is everything that I think someone who wants originality in cinema will get. Not in the sense of we've seen this story before, you know, the One Last Job. They're typical heist tropes in there, but in terms of the filmmaking, the writing's incredibly smart. The comedy's really good. That when it is there, the action's really good. If you just want a nice, good time at the movies that isn't based on something originally. And if you're also a big fan of music, then I don't see why you haven't seen the movie already, so just go out and see it. I give it like a 9.2 out of 10. I really dug it, yeah.
Yeah, if you're the type of guy who goes to a movie theatre and groans when there's a third Spider-Man reboot or whatever,
My mom.
then, which is understandable, I get that, but you should have seen Baby Driver yesterday. You should have seen this the day it came out, and it's doing relatively well. It's already Edgar Wright's highest-grossing film domestically. It's already made back its production budget and its market. Sony is apparently talking sequel, and Edgar Wright seems on board with it if he comes up with a story. But because Baby Driver, give me my Mad Max style World's End sequel, but Baby Driver sequel works fine too. Whatever. Maybe they're in the same universe, and Baby Driver is the Mad Max driver.
Yes. Could you imagine that trailer? It's like Simon Pegg. It's like, I'm assembling all my friends, but we need a better driver. And like it's just Ansel Elgort like dresses Channing Tatum from This Is the End. It's like, what's your name? Baby, B-A-B-Y, baby. It's like this summer, and they start crying from excitement.
Can you imagine the narration? My world is fire and death and really good music. My name is Baby.
Bow, bow, and like the music kicks in. It's like from Edgar Wright, and you're like, I'm so ready. Give it to me now.
But see, Edgar Wright has been thinking about Baby Driver for over 20 years. He was originally going to make it a music video in the early 2000s that he was directing, but it didn't work out. And then once he finished Ant-Man, he basically took a lot of his creative and production team from the abandoned Ant-Man concept and made Baby Driver. So can you churn out a sequel in a couple of years and which has the same level of polish?
Imagine how good Ant-Man would have been. Like, I like Ant-Man, I do. Imagine how good that if Baby Driver is what if what Baby Driver is what Ant-Man could have. My God, that would be everyone's go-to Marvel movie. Like, everyone would shove that Winter Soldier and be like, "Oh yeah, but Ant-Man though." Like, everyone the whole world would fall in love with Ant-Man. We'd be getting like Ant-Man 5 by next March. Oh man, okay. Right on. All right. Like, it would have been like Ant-Man Civil War. Then, Jesus, everyone would have fell in love with that character.
Ant-Man Civil War.
Yeah, well, they gave it to
the
Captain
Ants
America
versus the Beatles.
That's what I'm. Yeah. But let's spoilers. Spoilers. If go and watch it, it's good. Go now.
Really
Pause the show. Go check it out at the nearest theater before it's out of theaters. All right.
Or if you go and watch Spider-Man and the cinema is full and you have to wait a few hours to watch it, go watch Baby Driver instead.
Yeah, pay for it though. Give the movie your money. All right,
this buy the soundtrack.
This isn't Michael Bay. All right, you don't get to sneak in. All right. Even if you are only 13, guys, if there are only 13-year-olds listening to this and you want to see Baby Driver but you can't, I get the feeling. Just buy a ticket for something else and sit in the front. That's what I do. That's what I did. It's as simple as that. Like, oh, I want to see Kingsman, but I'm only 15. I'm like, well, then buy a ticket for, I don't know, a movie was out Home or whatever, and then just pay and just walk in a Kingsman. It's not that hard.
If you can handle the violence and the swearing in, say, Hot Fuzz, then you can handle Baby Driver.
Oh God, there's barely any.
I'm just letting them know. If they were wanting to sneak in but weren't sure about the rating.
Yeah, I mean, if they're a parent, I guess I'd like, I don't know if my kid should see that movie. I'm like, just it's really not that. I can't. The worst thing about it is that it's incredibly tense towards the third act.
There is a particularly bloody moment.
You're referring to when Jamie Foxx gets.
I wasn't sure if we were still in spoiler talk. But...
Yeah, of course we're in spoiler talk.
But that I like how it was sort of premeditated as well. Like, they hinted at it when he's in the car alone looking around.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, those bars are exactly where Jamie Foxx would be sitting if he drove forward about now.
Chekhov's bars, yeah. There was that third act is so like the first few parts of the movie, the first two acts, it's a lot of fun, it's a lot of good dialogue, a lot of good back and forth, but then the heist starts, and it's like when you watch Reservoir Dogs, and things just go bad, like, right away, you know what I mean, and, like, you just realize that, like, everything's gone wrong. It goes from the diner scene to Mr. Orange bleeding in the back of a car or whatever. It just... Spoilers for Reservoir Dogs if you guys haven't seen it. She's just... sorry. And, it reminds... It so quickly turns to 11 that you're just kind of not ready for it when it happens. I think I audibly went, oh my god. When Jamie Foxx just dies, oh, okay, alright. And then the movie just goes. It's like, what'd you do? Yes, dog. My dog keeps barking. And it's like, what'd you do, baby? And then the movie just kind of keeps going from there. And it doesn't really stop until... I thought they were going to Thelma and Louise it at the end, but they didn't. And I was really happy about that.
Yeah, it was a nice subversion of the ending.
Yeah.
Of that, yeah.
You thought they were going to be like, oh, let's go and be lovers again. But no, because Baby's a good guy, and I really appreciated that. He served his time. And he was in it for, 18 months? Couple years? I don't know.
I think they said 5 years you'll get paroled, but you've got a 25-year sentence.
Okay, yeah, so he was in jail for 5 years. And I love that. I love the quick use of the black and white. They could have turned on the exposure, but it was pretty bright. It was, I don't know, that just bothered me as a guy who likes making movies. I'm like, you could have turned that exposure down, that shot just a bit.
Are you going to tell Edgar Wright how to make a movie?
I don't want to tell Edgar Wright how to make a movie, how to set up a shot.
Because he's not going to like that tweet, I'll tell you that much.
Shut up, Shirley. I'm just saying, I was watching the movie and I turned to Christian and I said, they could have turned on the exposure just a tad. They could have fixed that. They could have knocked that down. But maybe it was just the theater I was in. I don't know. But I did have a good time with it. I thought John Hamm was... It's really hard not to watch John Hamm. He's probably he's one of my favorite characters in the entire movie is John Hamm.
So I've not seen John Hamm in that much. He's really the sort of guy who I'm only really noticing around everywhere now. So I've not really seen him do a role like that where he is just so unhinged, where he sees red. But he really took to it. He really embraced that role. Yeah. I also really like Kevin Spacey in it, and I thought that he was going to be this self-centered, he would shoot baby at a moment's notice type of guy. But then he kind of has a redemption moment, and I really appreciated that. That was a twist that I didn't see coming.
Retarded means slow. Was he slow? Dude, that was great. That was really good.
I think you can actually get that on the soundtrack.
I would hope so. John Bernthal really knows how to make the most out of little screen time he gets sometimes. Mm-hmm. I don't know if you've seen the Daredevil Netflix show, but he plays the Punisher in that.
I need to finish series 2.
Yeah,
I'm not going to bother with Iron Fist. I'm going to watch series 2 before.
How far in are you?
About 3 episodes, but I have seen him as the Punisher in small doses, and I really like what I see. So far.
And in Wolf of Wall Street, he shows up for some good scenes. Let her watch. Hey, Mom, we got chicken. We got chicken and what? He's really he's always in ever since Wolf of Wall Street. I mean, I kind of liked him in Walking Dead, I guess, but Wolf of Wall Street is really a time where I was like, I need to see more of John Bernthal, and he's just showing up in all these bit parts, and he's not in the movie for long, but when he shows up, you're like, he's so. He's really only there to be exposition time. You know what I'm saying? He's really only there to be let's we need somebody not to know about Baby and to explain what Baby is. But I really liked that. And Jamie Foxx, of course, is just having the best time of his life. I feel like he just walked off the set of Amazing Spider-Man 2 and onto the set of Baby Driver. It's like, you know what? Let's let off some rage. Just let off some rage. Yeah. I really enjoyed the film. I had a really good time with it.
Well, I liked C.J. Jones as well as the foster dad in the wheelchair.
Oh, yeah.
I thought it was a really cool touch of him able to put his hand on the speakers to feel the rhythm of the music, and then there's the call back to that when Baby does it in the car. Because I thought at first that he was going to permanently lose his hearing.
That would have been... talk about a good twist. When you shoot, you think he's going to, kill Baby or shoot the girl or something, or Baby's going to save the day at the end. No, he just gets shot near the ears. And you're like, that was really cool, yeah.
But, yeah, it's just a complete package film, isn't it? It gets in, it gets out in 100 minutes. It just is really tightly done. It's edited to perfection. And it's great just seeing other filmmakers, not just critics, but other filmmakers on Twitter and on Facebook just really singing its praise. Like, Guillermo del Toro did a 13-14 tweet. Just a massive fanboy series of tweets talking about how amazing Baby Driver is, and I have a feeling that this might not get much in terms of like the creative Oscars at the end of the year, but I imagine it will get a lot of nominations in the technical categories for like sound mixing.
Oh yeah.
Even if it's just the tiny details of whenever, because we see everything from Baby's perspective, even from the opening robbery when we don't see inside the bank. We are not anywhere where Baby is not. In the film, as far as memory serves, I don't believe we are. Whenever he doesn't have his headphones in, there's a ringing. That is a perpetual part of the soundscape of the film, as much as the music is, or even just the editing. Or I think that Baby Driver is going to get a lot of nominations because at the Academy, it's other filmmakers who are choosing the selection. So I think Edgar Wright, this is his big breakout mainstream hit. And I just look forward to seeing what he does next. If he wants to do Baby Driver 2, as long as he wants to do it, go for it. Because whatever he wants to do next.
Yeah, I personally wouldn't want to see it. Not because the story's told or whatever, but I love the idea of him just being like, I got this idea. I know, he's English, right? It's like the idea of him like, I don't
think he's Cockney, but he is.
I got this idea. It will make this movie. Hello, love. We're gonna make this. We're gonna make this seat with a battery.
Let's go to Atlanta, Georgia.
Give me one of the Spider-Man films in the Batman.
The Buttman. He's going to do Captain Underpants too. I think
the first one apparently is good, by the way.
It's like in the 90s on Rotten Tomatoes. It comes out in a few weeks in the UK.
Like it's been out for a few weeks. It came out in like June or whatever, and but apparently everyone's like, it's good. I'm like, I mean, I might. I just because everyone's singing its praise, I won't. I'll chappy it. Is what I'm trying to say. But
for Edgar Wright, after he did Hot Fuzz, he did Scott Pilgrim, and then he went on to the next Cornetto film, and I think doing that in-between film really helped him grow and develop as a filmmaker. So if he is going to do Baby Driver 2, I'd like to see him do something else first, and then apply everything he learns from that to Baby Driver 2.
Baby Driver might be his next trilogy for all I know, or they might do another set of trilogy that's like this. That's that kind of action style. I would love for him to tackle different genres though. What made the Cornetto trilogy really good is that they're all kind of action comedy, but like they all tackle different kinds of action comedies. That makes any sense. Like Shaun of the Dead does have legitimate horror moments. We talked about this in our Cornetto trilogy episode, which you can find on the podcast list playlist down below. Hot Fuzz is like that Michael Bay, shoot 'em up kind of movie, and then World's End is really 1950s sci-fi. But I would love for them to more like this one's kind of like a heist movie, right? Like so then you have. The next one be, I don't know, like an adventure flick or something. Like you have each one tackle different kinds of action genres. I just bit my tongue. Ow. I just bit my tongue. Ow.
Random, but okay.
I just bit my tongue. Ow.
I think that's the first time you've done that on mic.
Ow. We've been recording for 71 episodes. It took long enough. Alright, Trillbee, you take over. I'll be right there. Just give me a second.
Okay, well, if we're still in the homework section, I want to talk about something I saw this past week called The Big Sick. Now, those of you who've been paying attention to the box office will know that in America, The Big Sick has had a very limited theatrical release, but it's been doing so well in the venues it's been playing at. It's had a massive per theatre average, and basically it's a romantic comedy starring Kumail Nanjiani, who's basically playing himself. This is a film version of how he met his wife. And it's written by his wife as well, but his wife in the film is played by Zoe Kazan. And The Big Sick centers on how the two met. Kumail is a Pakistani.
I'm seeing it tomorrow. No spoilers.
I won't spoil it. He's a stand-up comedian working in Chicago, and then he meets his wife to be Emily. And what happens is that she gets incredibly ill, and she's put in a medically induced coma. And the film centers around his relationship with his traditional Pakistani Muslim family, as well as the relationship between Emily's parents, played by Holly Hunter and Ray Romano, while she's in this coma.
Yes.
Dude, yes.
Oh, sorry. I heard Ray Romano.
Yeah, Ray Romano. Yeah.
I haven't seen him in anything for like ever. So yeah.
Well, he suddenly turns up and you recognise the voice from anywhere, and it's like, holy, I've not seen you since Ice Age. I hope you've been doing well. Nice, I like it. But he and Holly Hunter are really good in the film. But it's just a really really good rom-com. It's smartly done. It's incredibly relatable at some moments. There's a scene where I'm not going to spoil the punchline, but Emily wakes up in the middle of the night wanting diner coffee, wanting to just go to a 24-hour diner in the middle of the night, and the punchline to that is just something that had me and my fiance who watched it just falling over with laughter. It was amazing. It's just a really smart rom-com. It's clearly from the heart. It's really polished as well. Those Kumail and Emily they spent 3 years writing the screenplay, and it's produced by Judd Apatow and Barry Mendel, who helped them with rewrites and extra drafts and stuff like that. The polish from those 3 years is up on screen. It really does show. It's getting a wider release in America week by week, so give it a couple of weeks and there'll be a good chance that you will be able to see it at some point. In the UK, it's opening on July 27th or July 28th.
Yeah.
I got to see it early because Kumail and Emily were hosting a Q&A session in my city. I basically got free tickets to it. It was a really short Q&A.
Oh, I'm Trilbee, a Hollywood guy with millions of followers on Twitter, invited me to his...
I don't even have 1 million followers. That's how awesome I am. But it was only like a 20-minute Q&A with the audience, and not a lot was said, unfortunately, but it was still just a really good experience to be a part of, and the film was just really, really good. Really enjoyed it. And also Adil Akhtar is in it. For those of you who don't know who he is, if you've seen Four Lions, he's the guy who blew up the sheep. And I was like, oh my god, I've not seen you for ages. The whole cast is great. It's a great ensemble cast, and I really enjoyed The Big Sick. So if you've seen it tomorrow, have an awesome time. Check it out.
All right. Well.
Mm-hmm.
Right,
so has your tongue recovered?
Yes, it's actually doing a lot better. Now I'm just doing this like for comedic effect.
It's like in The Simpsons. No thanks, I'm still finishing my thistles.
Yeah, no, I'm doing. My tongue's feeling better. I put some ice on it while you were talking. Don't ask where I got the ice from. That's none of your business. Okay. Do you have anything else you want to talk about in homework?
You just got a drawer in your desk.
Which is little did I ever know I have a mini fridge just dangling from my ceiling that I just walk into. Do you have anything else you want to talk about in homework, Trilby?
I saw Despicable Me 3. I don't have much to say about it. It's basically like cotton candy or candy floss, whatever country you're in, where it's sweet and it's colourful, but once you bite it, it just disintegrates on your tongue, and there's absolutely no substance or value to it, really.
It's a shame, because I really like Despicable Me 2, and I like the first one, but Minions Minions sucks, so...
It's better than Minions.
Well, a lot's better than Minions, Trilby.
Yeah, exactly. Diarrhea is better than the Minions, but...
we were eating at a Red Robin.
At least the fart and poop jokes are funny in diarrhea.
We were eating at a Red Robin, and we were waiting for somebody to meet us there, and there was a claw machine at the front of the restaurant. And there were just all minions in there. I turned to Christian. I said, "Christian, they're following us." Because we decided that we weren't going to see Baby Driver again, unfortunately. And he was like, "We can see Despicable Me 3." I'm like, "I'm not doing that to myself." And then we went to the restaurant, and the minions were just there. I'm like, "They won't leave us alone."
I saw the film on a Saturday afternoon. The theatre was full of kids and their parents. It was kind of an ideal setting to okay, how is this responding to how the core demographic responding to the film? And all the kids were wearing Minion shirts. They had their Minion movie cups with their Coke and their sugary drink in it and everything.
You sound so cynical. They had their sugar and they had their
sugary drinks.
They have all their capitalistic product placement.
But this is the target demographic for Despicable Me 3, and they responded well to it. They laughed. They when something bad happened, they were like, "Oh no," because they're kids and they don't know theatre etiquette.
As you can say, they're kids, they don't know classic movie tropes. Just no, they just know when to stay quiet.
Yeah. I think the problem with Despicable Me 3, though, is that there's 5 subplots, which each of them, apart from the one that's entirely focused on the Minions, because we saw how that worked, they could all justify the feature length, or at least have... If you had maybe 2 or 3 of these subplots, it could work. But you've got Agnes, the young adopted daughter, who's trying to find a unicorn. You've got
did she already have one, or did she lose one too?
No, she's trying to find an actual living unicorn. She only got the toy. You've got Kristen Wiig, who's trying to be a mother, but basically the movie ends like, oh, I'm a mum now, and it's like you didn't do anything different from what you were doing at the beginning of the movie. There's the relationship between Gru and his long lost twin brother Drew, which it's okay.
That came out of nowhere in the marketing, by the way. Like, this movie was marketed for about a year, and like 7 months of the marketing was like, look at the Gru taking on Trey Parker, and you're like, all right, this seems fun. And then like out of nowhere, they're like, Gru's got a brother. I'm like, whoa, hold on, that was in like no trailers, and now it's like a third trailer, and suddenly he has a. What is this? They introduced a whole new dynamic to the movie. That's what they started marketing the movie on. Maybe the movie wasn't tracking as well, and suddenly they decided to just start putting the brother all over the posters. I'm like, what is this?
Nah, maybe. But, yeah, they do one funny sequence where they pretend to be the other person, which I actually thought was pretty funny. But Trey Parker is really good as the main villain of the movie. I'm glad that he got quite a bit of screen time as well, and his character found time amongst the Gru and Drew brother subplot. Basically, he was a child star in the 80s, but when he hit puberty, he was no longer popular, and now he hates humanity, and he's obsessed with the character he played in the 80s, and he has a love of the music, and he has shoulder pads, and he challenges everybody he knows to dance fights, and one of his weapons is a keytar. And the music selection from the 80s is actually pretty solid. I thought that they were just going to go for the completely generic 80s stuff, but there's some classy good stuff in there that I really appreciated. And he was easily the standout of the film, but yeah, there's even a weird subplot where the oldest adopted daughter gets engaged because she ate some cheese. It's something that you can imagine being funny, but it just isn't able to find the time in it's a really short film. It's only about 90 minutes long, it's a relatively short film. It just feels like it was a bit half-baked, and let's just do another Despicable Me film by the end of the tax year or something, I don't know. The door is open for a fourth one, but I don't know, I'd rather see Illumination, try more original things, but even their original stuff is basically just a rip-off of Toy Story.
Okay, I'm kind of done talking about Despicable Me right now.
That is fair. I'm not going to remember this thing in a week's time.
I figured I'd talk about it 7 minutes on it, Trilby. That's all I'm going to say. We spent a lot of time
I'm going to forget about this the moment it's over.
Fantastic. All right. Anything else you want to talk about, Trilby? Before we jump into Spider-Man?
Well, you've not seen Okja all the way through, have you?
I've seen 20% of Okja.
But you had a good reason. For some reason, your subtitles weren't on.
Well, okay. Let's run through this story. Tell you what, we'll talk about Okja right now. So I said I really had no interest. I saw a trailer for it. I'm like, I have no interest in the movie whatsoever, because everyone's like, it's from the guy that did Snowpiercer. I didn't love Snowpiercer, so I didn't really care. I'm like, it's whatever. And I never saw The Host, so I don't. Apparently, The Host is good too. I didn't see The Host, and I didn't love Snowpiercer, so I really didn't have any interest in this guy's work. It's nice that he's a foreign filmmaker getting a lot of pedigree in America. That's nice, but still. And so everyone starts praising this movie. It's like, it's the best. Everyone's like, yeah, see Okja, it's fantastic. Edgar Wright loved it. Everyone, just all these people were just giving this spewing praise. I'm like, you know what? I'll check it out. I don't.
Edgar Wright liked your tweets, so he's got questionable taste.
Trophy, go find your front door and walk out of it. So I decided I'd give Okja a try, because I'll stop being cynical and give it a shot. But I don't have Netflix right now for reasons I can't get into here. And so I'm like, I'll just chappy it. It's fine. I chappied Okja. Sue me if you must. And I'm like,
if you pay for Netflix, it's kind of not stealing.
Yeah, well, like, I do pay for Netflix because my Netflix is just broken at the moment. I make phone calls, when I say I do mean I. People take money out of my wallet to pay for Netflix. And so I look it up, and I'm like, I found it right away, and I started watching it. And I'm like, all right, this movie's in Korean, isn't it? And so they start talking, and I'm just like, all right, this is all right, I guess. No, that pig's pretty endearing. All right on. And then, and I realized, like, because it starts off in English, without giving any spoilers. Should we talk about what the movie's about first? I guess, I don't know. But the plot is that it's that 10 years ago, Tilda Swinton takes over this company,
And what they do is that they send 26 of these genetically engineered super pig creatures. That's basically like this. It's a pig, but it's kind of like a hippo and an elephant and a dog or whatever. And they send them to all of these 26 different farms across the world. And in 10 years later, they're going to say, okay, which way of raising these pigs from these different backgrounds was the best one? And the winner will be taken to New York, and they'll win the Super Pig competition. And then the winner is this one from South Korea, who has befriended this young girl called Mija. And she basically has to try and rescue Okja as she's taken away to New York to... Well, it's not really subtle. Okja's going to be turned into burger.
Yeah, burger.
Yeah. Well, burgers, sausage, meat, what
I'm
basically
like,
just...
I'm like,
yeah.
You don't make pork burgers? What is this? It's a pig, isn't it?
Well, I'm not going to get into the physiology of Okja.
Okay, all right. I thought it was a pig. Anyways, yeah, but he's gonna get turned into... She's gonna get turned into food. I don't know how to... And so I'm watching it, and it starts off with Tilda Swinton talking, and I'm like, oh, okay, she's in this. Right on. All right. I can see the satire here already. All right, I'm behind this. And then, and then they drop their first F-bomb. I'm like, this is rated R? I'm like, oh, no, I'm into this. And then the action movie starts. That's the cold open. And then it's like Okja, and it's like a lot of forest, and there's this little Asian girl walking around, and she got this giant pig thing. And they just start talking. I'm like, they're speaking Korean. And there's no subtitles. And so I'm just kind of sitting here, more or less watching a silent movie. Because they might, like I said, they're just spewing Korean at me. And for certain parts of it, the visual storytelling is there. And I get what's happening. But there's a certain point where I'm just like Jake Gyllenhaal shows up and Paul Dano's there. And you're just about half an hour, I start dozing off. I'm like, I am bored, and I fall asleep, and I wake up in an hour, and I realize, I fell asleep for like 40 minutes, and I woke up in like 40 more minutes has passed. I'm like, what's going on? And I was so confused, and so I only saw like a third of the movie. I hear it's really good. Show me what you think.
Yeah, it's all right. It's pretty good. I think the performances are solid. I like Tilda Swinton. I think Paul Dano's good in it. Jake Gyllenhaal is like Jared Leto's Joker levels of embarrassing.
Yeah.
I know that he's meant to be the shrill, shrieking, kind of playing it all up for the cameras, reality TV star. But then, like in the third act, his character's meant to go in some completely different directions. But he keeps the shrill, shrieking persona. The two just don't gel. I don't buy him as a character remotely, and I don't even think I should admire Gyllenhaal for his go for broke turn, because it just seems like, oh, I'm just going to be eccentric because like it doesn't even make sense. But in terms of the film, I think that. It's interesting that because what you said earlier, that it's rated R, it's got the F-bomb, and there's a lot of violence. That's quite particularly on the young Korean girl who plays Mija. There's a scene where she's even like thrown out of a truck, and you see her fall and you see her land.
Yeah,
and it's like, holy shit!
But she's all right, isn't she? Like I think that's as far as I got.
Well, she falls out of the truck, or she's pushed off the back of a truck, and she lands on her feet from this fast-moving truck and falls flat on her face. And then she's brought... she speaks to these people, and her face is battered and bruised and bleeding. She's got like a swollen eye, and she's messed up. But this is a film that's trying to be like a fairy tale Disney Miyazaki type thing, but it also has the courage of its convictions to really go all the way in terms of... its real portrayal of the cattle farm or the meat industry, because the third act it goes for broke. There's some haunting shit in the third act of Okja. I don't know if it's able to fully pull off the tonal shift, but it's a tonal shift that needed to be done for this type of story, and I kind of admire it more than I like it. I think Okja clearly has a lot on its mind, and while it doesn't really communicate it all the way through, it points for trying. There's some imagery there that I'm not going to forget for a while. There's a really bittersweet ending as well, which I really appreciated. And I watched it with my fiance, who's like a really she's an animal lover. She's a vegetarian. She wants to be vegan one day. But, sorry. Her grandmother's a hippie flower child, so it's kind of in her blood. I can't really avoid that. But and she was kind of sobbing at the film towards the third act. It just in how it accurately portrayed the cattle industry. It's one of those films that's like, yeah, you're going to watch this on Netflix, but and even though you've seen all of this stuff, you're still going to eat that burger. We are kind of judging you, audience member. So a lot's been said about the film, and like when it played at Cannes and when the Netflix logo came up, there was booing from the audience. But it's still something that's like it's worthy of being a film and like being able to play at festivals. Like it's a feature film, so film is film. Don't judge it because it's on Netflix. Like The Big Sick is on Amazon, but that's getting loads of praise. But I think that this is the first film I've seen from Bong Joon-ho, who did Snowpiercer and The Host and that. I've never seen Snowpiercer because there's no legal way to watch it in the UK. I know you're going to say chappy it, but I probably will because it's been 4 or 5 years since that movie came out, and there's no sign of a UK distribution, like, at all. So wow. I might have to do that. Okay. Which is, it's weird because that film was profitable from what I can tell. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think Okja is really good. I didn't fully buy the creature itself because it's obviously CGI, but I bought its presence. Like I bought the fact that there was something on set that was interacting with the environment and with the actors, because they really did use a really elaborate puppet. There's some really interesting B-reel that you can watch online of these like 4 or 5 people operating this really elaborate puppet. So I bought its presence. I guess didn't necessarily buy it as a creature, but it's an admirable film. It doesn't
felt very manipulative. Like I haven't seen the whole flick, and I know the ending because I'm on IMDb right now. But like I don't. But like it's not. It felt very manipulative from what I guess I'm referring to the first act, if you will. Yeah. Like from minute 1, I'm like, they really want me to care about this pig thing. They really want me to care about this thing, and. Like they didn't play up the violence or anything like you typically get in a movie like this, but like with a movie like Old Yeller, and I guess that's why I'm going to compare this to right now, because that's kind of my like the ideal movie about an animal that you don't want to die, and and I won't give away the ending of Okja, but I'm pretty sure. But like so it's like. With Old Yeller, you're just like, that's a really awesome dog. Like he's just out there being a cool dog, and the kid doesn't like him at first, but you know what? Old Yeller's a cool dog. And then so when stuff happens, and you're like, man, that is the roughest ending. Like that's like, in my opinion, Old Yeller's the saddest movie I've ever seen. That's because I saw it when I was like 4. Like I didn't cry at Lion King. I didn't cry at like most movies. I didn't cry it up when I first saw it, but I cry like a baby every time I watch Old Yeller. And so I immediately watch this, and I'm like, I'm getting Old Yeller vibes, and I couldn't get, like you said, I bought the effect. Like, I saw the creature, I'm like, that looks really good. And they have a nice blend of practical and CG. But at the same time, maybe because there was no subtitles, I just couldn't find myself being invested in the film.
Well, my subtitles were about 5 or 10 seconds delayed. So it was really awkward watching conversation sequences.
Well, maybe the subtitles are, if the subtitles are right, it's a good movie. Maybe that's the problem here, Joe. Maybe it's the subtitles. I should give the movie a chance. I can
imagine after Jake Gyllenhaal shows up and there's a lot more conversations between Korean and English characters that you probably would need the subtitles. But for the first 10-15 minutes, you're right. It's mostly visual storytelling. The first Korean segment of the film, where it's just Mijo hanging out with Okja, it's relatively silent.
Like it did feel very Miyazaki as well. Like the broad world. I don't know, maybe the movie, and going on a basic filmmaking standpoint, I feel like the aspect ratio wasn't right for this film. I don't know why. Because it's 2:3:5. It's a wide aspect ratio. It's the typical CinemaScope ratio. I feel like also maybe it's because it's on Netflix, and so you can watch it on your TV or your laptop or something. Like maybe you should have gone with like 1:8:5 or 16:9. I don't know. Maybe because like there's not a lot of room in the frame for us to really get a sense of scale. I don't know. Like you can like. They're out in the woods, and there are some establishing shots of, let me give a prime example. When there's a scene early on in the film where someone almost falls off a cliff, and it's meant to be a really tense, really really kind of grab you by the balls and like, oh my god, look out kind of sequence, but it doesn't. I think a part of it is because I didn't feel like I knew how deep that fall was, and so like when certain things happen, I'm like. How far would she have fallen if she fell off that cliff? Looks like
that's just probably bad CGI.
Yeah, I was like, it looks like 20 feet. Like, I feel like if the frame was more open, we could have gotten a better thing. Like, we'll get to Spider-Man in a bit and talk about scale and height and stuff. It might be effective green screen or sound editing or something. And I feel like it fell flat in the opening few minutes for me.
But you're right. The film is very manipulative, and it wears its heart very much on its sleeve. Like, this is not a subtle commentary.
No,
this is
that's also the first thing I'm like. So they're just really crapping at McDonald's right away. Huh? Like they're just It reminds me of that Family Guy episode where they go to like the McDonald's factory or whatever, and they find like it's like a concentration camp for cows. They even call it Dachau, and they make a joke about it. And Brian's like, "Yeah, Dachau, Dachau. That's Holocaust jokes. That's really funny, guys." And like you just hear Brian say it, and like obviously, that's what it reminds me a lot of.
But yeah, you're right. It's very manipulative. But the fact that it has the conviction to go in the directions it goes in the third act, and to visually portray that stuff, it is haunting and effective, and the fact that it was able to stick the landing in that way is why I admire Okja. I'm not going to rewatch it anytime soon, and it's probably not going to be on any of my year's end best lists or whatever. But it's something I recommend you can watch. If you've got Netflix, you can basically just watch it for free anyway. So, or if you're going to chappy it, make sure you get one with subtitles.
Yes. But to be fair, I watched the first 5 seasons of Game of Thrones by chappying without and they never had subtitles, and I got through it just fine. That's all I'm gonna say. I got all. So
basically, you had the Game of Thrones characters going babbity boopy, babbity boop
babbity bobby boopy. Peter, what are you doing? Speaking Italian. Babbity boopity babbity bobby boopy.
I'm speaking White Walker or whatever that was. I don't watch Game of Thrones.
Trilby, please. Drop everything you're doing. You have 8 days. No, 7. Trilby, you have a week. Come on, Trilby. Get through this, man.
I start a new job on Tuesday.
Oh, well, you've only got 20.
Can I watch 6 seasons in 2 days?
You can watch 4.5 seasons in 2 days.
Right, okay, now that's my next 2 days sorted.
Yep. Just at least get to season 4, okay? That's all I'm asking for you. All right?
I'll give it a go. I'll try.
Yeah. Get through this first couple of episodes. If you find it slow, that means it's on purpose.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. You have anything else you want to add, Trilby?
That's all I saw this past week.
All right. Well, then let's get to the spider guy.
Spider Boy.
God, I need sleep.
And now, our feature presentation.
Alright guys, this is the feature presentation, which is we're going to talk about the big movie, or something that we saw, kind of the main topic of the show, for our new listeners. And, Trilby, let's just get into that. Let's talk about Spider-Man and why'd you hate it?
I hated Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was worse than The Amazing Spider-Man 2, which I gave a 0 out of 10 to, so...
Did you really?
I give Spider-Man Homecoming minus 2 out of 10.
Too many black actresses, -5.
I'm going to give Iron Man 2 a 13 out of 10, because who needs logic?
Can we talk about Hunger Games real quick? I know I immediately diverged, but can we talk about... What? Speaking of... You just reminded me of how in Hunger Games, Katniss gets an 11. How ridiculous is that? And it happens in the book, too, doesn't it? She gets an 11 out of 10. What? How ridiculous is that?
It's from Spinal Tap. This goes up to 11. It's why don't you just make 10 louder?
It's
this goes up to 11.
It goes to 11, doesn't it? It's why not just... Imagine you're at the Olympics, right? And Gabby Douglas, whatever her name is doing the flips. And someone just puts up an 11. That guy's fired, right? That just doesn't...
That's like some Price is Right stuff, isn't it?
Oh my god! $1.
It's like on Family Guy. It's okay, 780. What did my opponent say? 780. Okay, 781. Fuck you.
Show me potato salad. I need to immediately diverge, but that reminds me of how ridiculous that first movie is and how awful it is. Well,
Spider-Man Homecoming is a much better young adult film than Spider-Man than the Hunger Games.
I'm in tears. Anyway. Spider-Man Homecoming. Go ahead, Shelby.
I did enjoy Spider-Man Homecoming. I thought it was really fun. I liked the vibrant color palette. I liked it felt like an actual New York setting, because I know that they actually filmed in New York for this, as opposed to where did they film the original Sam Raimi films? I thought, like they didn't go anywhere near New York for that, but still, I did really enjoy it. I thought it was I had a really vibrant color palette. It was a lot of fun. I liked the sort of dressed down feeling to it, where it was a bit more bare bones in terms of the plot structure, and then the stakes weren't massive. I enjoyed that. It was kind of like on an Ant-Man sort of level.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that. I think Tom Holland was brilliant. I think Robert Downey Jr. wasn't here to just collect a paycheck. I think he really does arrive on set.
Yeah.
I think he did really well. Michael Keaton has immediately leapt up the list of one of the best MCU villains. Granted, there's not massive competition in that category, but I thought he was terrific. I thought Zendaya had a particularly interesting screen presence. I actually really enjoyed her throughout the film. I liked... Yeah, I enjoyed the film quite a bit. I kind of put it on the same level as like Guardians of the Galaxy 2 or Ant-Man in terms of the fact that I think it was really good, really fun, enjoyable, some really great redeeming elements to it. It's just not something I think has a lot of heft, and I don't think I'm going to be revisiting it anytime soon. I'll admit that I've got a lot of like personal baggage on the table because I just Spider-Man and Spider-Man 2 from Sam Raimi and just Sam Raimi's filmography it has left such an impact on the way I view media and the way I view film that it was just the right age for me. Like for example, you weren't even born when Spider-Man 2 came out. And I'm on about Amazing Spider-Man 2 for you.
That's not true at all, Trilby.
No, but
Spider-Man was my first movie I saw in theaters, you ass.
What, The Amazing Spider-Man was the first movie you saw in theaters?
Yeah, Trilby. I saw my first movie when I was 12 years old. Yeah, good work, Trilby.
This reboot stuff is really confusing. No, I'm kidding.
Get out of here, you monster.
I am a monster. But those films kind of loom very heavy over the medium and of course this character, and a lot of the stuff I liked in Homecoming I just felt like this is good. I've just seen this done in a much better film that I think has left a bigger impact on me. So I've got my own personal baggage and I'll be right up front with that. But I still did really enjoy Homecoming. I had a really fun time with it. So I'll elaborate more when we get into spoilers or when we just gradually talk more about the film. But I think John Watts has done a real good job with the material, and I want to follow more of Tom Holland's Spider-Man. I want to know what happens next.
Okay.
So what about you?
Well, I can't say that the things I enjoyed are things that we have seen before, because it's more of the things that we haven't gotten that I was far more invested in. We don't get a lot of web slinging in this. We don't. I mean, and they honestly they play up on the fact that when you live in Queens, there's not a lot of web slinging you can do. I mean, we get a lot of new stuff in terms of the high school aspects, which you can argue that we got in the first movie.
It's done better here
in both
because
reboots.
It's not a bunch of 30-year-olds.
That's what I was about to say. The only one that looks like 35 is Flash, but I buy that, so whatever. Also, if we can briefly bring up Flash Thompson, and this is not a spoiler, but like he's not like a jock. He's just an asshole, and I'm like, that's how bullies work. They're like internet trolls in real life. They just suck as people, and that's exactly because everyone's got that one group in that one guy in the friend group, like, man, he's such an asshole, and that's what Flash is. But if you have someone that as a friend that's like Flash in your friend group, maybe exclude them from stuff because they're not cool people. Just a life lesson. But what I did really enjoy about this movie is that you're right. It's the scale is a lot smaller than you think it's going to be, and I really have to give I'm excited for. Excuse me. I'm excited for. All the top 10 lists of like top 10 movies that were far better than their trailers, or top 10 trailers that sold the wrong movie, because this will be there in terms of this is one of the worst marketing campaigns I've ever seen for a film, because the trailers don't spoil the movie, but they spoil certain sequences in the movie. Like, there are certain things that happen in a film and certain things that happen in the film that are nowhere in the trailers, and there are things that happen that the trailers put like the end of that sequence in the trailer so that you're like, oh, I've seen this shot, so I know what happens here. And that's kind of where the marketing fails, and it's terrible marketing. But you're right, Tom Holland's great. Michael Keaton is fantastic. He's both endearing. I saw it with a friend, and my friend turned to me right at the start and said, why do I care for this guy already? Because unlike most Marvel movies, we really get to see why this villain is a villain. Pretty much from the get-go, and it's more than just an exposition about this guy's a bad guy. he's up there for me. He's probably my favorite movie villain that we've gotten. Loki's a lot of fun always, but in terms of like actual like threatening villain, I'll give it up to the Vulture. No villain for me has come close to Kilgrave and Jessica Jones, in my personal opinion. I think...
Yeah, and Kingpin.
Well, in my opinion, I think Kilgrave is better than Kingpin, but that's like saying this piece of gold is better than this piece of gold. They're both gold, and they're both fantastic. But I like David Tennant more. He's more compelling to watch, in my opinion. I'm just ashamed he's not around anymore. God damn it. Ugh! Bring him back, please. You can do this. You brought back Coulson, didn't you? Come on, man.
Yep.
Anyways, but like it's... But... the supporting cast is great. Ned, the best friend, is really good. And the way they tackle nerds in high school is exactly how it is to be a nerd in high school. You're gonna have the people around you that sit. You're gonna have that person you sit with, but they're not the typical nerd that always get like dumped in the toilet or stuffed in a locker. They're just ignored, and people just don't talk to them, and they just don't know. Yeah. They don't know how to interact socially. And that's exactly how it is. There are certain scenes where like, oh, we get to go to a party. How do we dress? That's exactly how it is.
And he wears a hat.
Yeah.
He's like, the hat's not working.
And it's like, he thinks he looks so awesome in like this Indiana Jones fedora, and he looks so ridiculous. But as someone who, for the first 7 years of his school life, up to like 7th grade, that's exactly how it is. When you're not the popular kid, you don't know what to do. And all the mathlete kids that they hang around with, they're all fun. The romantic interest, I think, is very nice to watch. She's more than just a hot piece of... Am I allowed to say that? Is she over 18? Who cares? I don't want
do you want me to look it up for
you? I don't want to get myself in trouble. She's more than just eye candy. That's the word I'll use. I was going to use an expression that, in case she's not 18, I won't use. She's more than just eye candy. She actually does have some...
She's 27.
Is she really?
Yes.
Okay, well then she's more than just a hot piece of ass for Peter to Google.
She's older than me.
She's 8 years older than Tom Holland. That makes every scene in this movie just a bit more creepy. I thought she looked older. Oh my god.
But they say in the movie that she's a senior, but that's still only like a couple. That's how meant to be a couple of years older.
That's how they get it. That's how they get away. They do say she's a senior, so she does look older than Tom Holland, who is 19, by the way.
And Zendaya is 20. I think the two are dating as well.
Are they really? Well,
I think I heard that.
We'll get to that in spoilers. But like, Zendaya, by the way, she, in my opinion, steals every scene that she was in. Every time she was on screen, she either had me laughing or had me captivated. And they don't have her in a lot of glossy makeup or anything. She's dressed like a person, and I really appreciate that. In fact, if there's any person that is most accurate, as someone who is currently going to high school, if there's any character in this movie that is most like a high school student, it is Zendaya in this movie. That is because there's a whole class of students that act and dress and talk exactly like how Zendaya talks in this movie. And like, there are certain things she does, I'm like, that's what people do. You'll be like, even when you get regular people to be in my movie, during the movie, we'll have the camera pointed at them and just middle finger. Like, that's how people work, and it's really funny. Aunt May's, Aunt May. I feel like they made Marissa Tomei look older in the movie. I feel like they made her look older than she was in Civil War. I feel like they put old lady makeup on her, or maybe they just told her not to wear makeup. I don't know, but she showed age, which is weird because Marissa Tomei does not look old. You know what I'm saying? But she looked older in this movie. We haven't even gotten to the... go ahead.
It's weird though, because basically every Marissa Tomei scene was, "Hey, Peter, your aunt's really hot."
I thought it worked. Like, I thought... I thought
it worked for the first couple of times, but it just happened so often. It was like, okay, do the rest of the characters know that Aunt May is meant to be really old?
I feel like in this movie Aunt May is like 50-something, you know what I'm saying? And like, for a 50-something...
Tomei's 52.
Yeah, like, I think it's odd that... we will get the spoilers, but there are a couple of jokes pointing towards Aunt May, and... I laughed every time. I don't know what to say. I liked it. I thought she was good in the movie, too. And I also like how oblivious she is to the world just trying to get at her. Also, in my head canon, Tobey Maguire plays Uncle Ben. We don't see Uncle Ben in this movie, but in my brain, Uncle Ben is played by Tobey Maguire just to make me smile. That's it. That's all. We're going to move on. That's just what in my brain.
Well, so how old is Tobey Maguire?
He's 42.
He's 42, yeah. Right? It depends how old he was when he turned into Spider-Man.
Well, he was...
I don't know if that works.
He was like 25. There it is. He was like...
A man can dream.
Yeah, so in my brain, like, if I would do this movie and they have a picture of Uncle Ben, just as a joke, I'd have Tobey Maguire up there with Mr. Tomei. I'm like, fun, like just to make the audience laugh a little, and just to mess with the nerds' canon heads. But yeah, everyone's good in it, and I think that's the best part about this movie is the talking, the dialogue, the character dynamics, all those scenes, the scenes that most kids want to skip when they watch a movie, are far more entertaining than the action sequences. The action sequences are pretty either bland or very poorly done, in my opinion. Yeah.
Like there's the fight on the top of like it's in the trailers, but there's a fight between Spider-Man and the Vulture at the top of a plane, and the plane has because it's an Avengers plane, it's all high tech, so there's a load of lights and there's a load of gizmos and jiggery pokery,
which I thought was a cool dynamic to have, like the strobe effect while they're fighting. I thought it was a nice.
But then you mix that with the Vulture giving off sparks whenever he lands or moves. I couldn't make anything out.
Yeah, I mean, the best action sequence is definitely the one that involves the Washington Monument that you see briefly in the trailers.
Yes, and you were talking earlier about, when we were talking about Okja, talking about getting the sense of height and vertigo, and when he's at the top of the Washington Monument and he's leaning forward as his back's to the monument because he's sticking to the wall. I didn't watch this in 3D, but I still got a sense of height.
Oh yeah, like there's they mentioned like, oh, we have 10 minutes to do certain thing. I turned to my friend and said, 10 minutes is a long time. And then like they do a wide shot of him climbing the monument. And then my friend said, but that's a tall one. I'm like, you know what? He's right. And then because you get the sense of like, oh, it's going to take a long time for him to get up there. Even though he could have done when he did the Amazing Spider-Man. But whatever. He's young. I'll let it slide. He just webbed the 2 corners and slide up, but that's whatever. And I don't... Also, in terms of character Peter Parker, he messes up a lot. And I can get behind a character that he's a 15-year-old kid that thinks he's all, big, he's Mr. Big Deal because he got to be in the Avengers. But he's still a kid, and I think that's something he has to learn, is that he has to know his place in the universe. Which I think was like one of the marketing taglines of the movie, wasn't it? It was like, know your place in the universe or something like that, which was a nice kind of tagline for Spider-Man. And it was nice to see that. It was nice to see a superhero make so many mistakes, but still try his hardest to do the right thing. And I don't think anything that he did was ever done out of malice. It was never done cynically. Much like Wonder Woman, it was all very much done out of a sense of trying to be the best that he could be. And I found that really endearing to watch. And I think a lot of that's to do with Tom Holland. And despite there being 6 writers, a lot of that had to do with the writing. And when the movie cut to credits and it was like written by these 6 people, I'm like, oh, I forgot the movie had 6 writers.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like it doesn't. I'm not going to say it feels like a singular vision. It does feel like you've got these 2 sides wanting a big scale action film which really ties into the Avengers, and also a high school movie. Yeah, and I don't think it's a flawless thing, but it works better than it has any right to. Yeah, and it doesn't feel like a 6 writers. What was the last film we talked? Like The Mummy, where it had like 5 or 6 screenwriters.
The Mummy, Independence Day 2, those kinds of movies.
Yeah, like those feel like torn projects where there's too many cooks, and those cooks don't even know how to
Too many cooks. Have you seen that video?
Too many cooks. It takes a lot to make a stew.
God, that's
a pinch of salt and laughter too.
It's this guy murdering everybody.
I love.
If you guys haven't seen Too Many Cooks, just look that up. It's fantastic. All right.
And I know it's going to be really repetitive in the first minute. Stick with the video.
Yeah. It builds. It goes places. Yeah.
Damn right, it goes places. Yeah. But I'm just now that's all I can think about. But yeah, I also did like its MCU connections as well. Like, there's even like in the trailer. We're not in spoilers yet, but in the trailer they show the Captain America gym videos and the education. There's even one where he's in detention.
So you got detention.
So you got detention. You're probably wondering how he got in this.
The way that really Captain America joke pays off, I won't give away how, but the way that joke pays off is one of the best things in the MCU to date. And that is all I'll say.
We've got Hannibal, I know we'll talk about that in spoilers.
My God, is it wonderful!
We've got Hannibal Buress as the coach, as the gym teacher, and he's also in detention playing these videos, and he's like, "Yeah, I got to show you these are mandated by the state. I think Captain America's a war criminal now, but who cares?"
I love that line. It's like he's a war criminal now, but whatever demands by the state. That was such a good line. I feel like there were some bits in the movie that was improvised. I feel like that was one of them. I don't know why. It has that improv feel to it that, or like, there's a certain line by Tony Stark in Involving Ant-Man that I feel like there was no way they wrote that line. I feel like that was Robert Downey Jr. just having fun on set that day. There's no way they wrote that line in the script.
Well, those details, like just having that instructional video and things like that throughout the film, and it gave Homecoming a real different vibe. Well, I won't say different. It's kind of like Ant-Man, but it's more magnified.
It's very much. It feels like a marriage of what the Netflix shows are doing and what the movies are doing, in the sense that you're watching everyday people respond to the MCU, and I think that's why I think Spider-Man, whenever they were talking about characters that could cross over, that's what I mean when I say Spider-Man is such a street level character. You could easily have him make his way into certain parts of the Netflix universe. I'm not saying have him, fight in the dark alley with the black people and Luke Cage or whatever, but I'm saying is like Spider-Man and Daredevil, Spider-Man and Punisher have a very good connection in the comic books, and that could easily work. And I think that and
Kingpin is it started off as a Spider-Man villain.
Yes, we can do Sinister Six, guys. Make this himself now, please, Marvel. It's there. Well, Logan's dead now, so we can't do Wolverine versus Hulk. I'm okay with that, but we can still do Spider-Man with a Punisher. Please make 4-year-old me happy again.
But yeah, that attention to detail on the street level stuff is stuff I've not really seen. Like, we got a bit of a glimpse of it in Ant-Man, Baskin Robbins always remembers.
Baskin Robbins always finds out.
But there's just a scene where after school he goes to a deli, he goes to a sandwich shop, and he has banter. He talks with the guy behind the counter, and it kind of like pays off in a couple of scenes time. But it's still it's something you don't see that often in the MCU. Like, I love the MCU films, but it is nice to see that stuff, and seeing the whole damage control aspect where the Vulture's character, where he starts off basically as a construction cleanup operation from after the Battle of New York, and how the real world is responding to the MCU, and that stuff is refreshing. It's good world building, and I'm glad that Spider-Man: Homecoming was more or less the vanguard for that.
Yeah,
I really appreciated it, and I think that. Like, even if you have the teenage girls in the high school and the gay best friends saying, okay, who would you marry, kiss, or who would you kill?
That was so
the results are surprising.
Perfect. They're so perfect. When they played Fuck, Marry, Kill with the Avengers characters, and when they do it, I'm like, I turned to my friend Thomas and I said, that's exactly what they would be doing right now in high school if the Avengers were real and this world was, and we were 8 years post-Avengers. That's exactly what the world would be like at that point. And I think that's something else I really appreciate about the movie, is it's how in-universe this movie feels. Everything that happens in this movie is solely because of what the universe is because of what these people have. It's not it's a solo movie that relies pretty much entirely on the weight and crux of your universe. And I think this movie is such a testament to what Kevin Feige and everyone over there at Marvel have done to weave this interconnectivity in. And I think that is such an achievement, and then that they can make pretty much an entire movie based on the fact that a building got destroyed in the Avengers. You know what I mean? Like, that's such a really cool thing. And I think that's something that the Netflix shows, again, are trying to do, but maybe they either don't have the budget, don't have the story capabilities to do that, and Spider-Man did it really well. That's all what would you give it out of 10, Trilby?
I'm going to elaborate more in spoilers, but I'm going to go for around a 7, same rating I gave Ant-Man and Guardians of the Galaxy 2.
Right on. I really had a fantastic time with this. The moment it ended, I said I can't wait to see the next one. There's not a lot I don't like story-wise and character-wise, and to me that always kind of wins out for me, is whether or not do I like the characters, am I a big fan of the story, do I like what they're trying to tell me. The filmmaking aspects of it, for the most part, impressed me. It has some of the it has some CGI issues that were very evident. I figured, they would correct some of the things that Civil War did, and the fact that when Spider-Man moves and it's entirely CG, it's off and it doesn't work because we as humans have not perfected the CGI human yet. So it looks good enough. Like if it was in a video game, like, that looks incredible. But it's a movie, so when you have when you have realistic looking structures that are probably also CG, but you have a CG human on that. Especially when it keeps coming back from, like, real-life Tom Holland to now rubber Tom Holland. You're like, well, it's not real anymore. But then the CG, and especially everything with the Vulture, didn't look that believable. But the Washington Monument stuff again did look really good. But at the same time, something else I've noticed, and there are videos on this on the internet, the cinematography is pretty flat, which is something a lot of Marvel movies have the issue of. They don't know how to make certain colors pop. I know people always talk about how colorful Marvel is, and in the sense that there's color in the frame, yes, but I think Wonder Woman is a far better example of how to do color and storytelling than this is. Guardians...
Definitely with contrast to Wonder Woman.
Guardians 2 has a lot of great color in it. Just the shots of the different planets and how, some things have this really good yellow tone to it. I mean, the gold people. This one just kind of felt flat. I feel like there were things I'm like, that looks like they just kind of shot it on the camera and just didn't do anything to it in post. And I felt like I was watching raw footage at times, and that just kind of bothered me. But I mean, I can get behind that, so it's fine. But I still had a really fantastic time. And if I could, I would go back and see it again. So the 8.8 out of 10. Really dug it. Yeah.
Sweet.
Probably the second or third best film of the year, behind Get Out and Baby Driver. Okay, so spoilers. I'm not going to edit in that noise. I'll just write a timestamp here. What do you think, Shirley? Spoiler talk.
Okay, right. The main issue I have with Spider-Man: Homecoming. Like I said, I really like the film, so this is more. I liked the movie in spite of these issues, but there was a massive Uncle Ben shaped hole in this film.
You think so?
I think there was. But for a different reason than many people are saying. I think it's not the fact that, because there's the scene when he's being crushed by the building.
Mm-hmm.
Like, the Vulture very cleverly got rid of the support.
Oh, we didn't even bring that up. Like, that's
Well, that's because that's.
I don't mean to cut you off, but this movie feels so Spider-Man. Maybe that's why I loved it so much, is because I've been waiting forever to get that moment. You know what I'm saying? Like, as good as those Raimi films are, I don't think there's a single moment in those movies where I'm just like, that kind of classic Spider-Man thing of like, Spider-Man has to, put all his heart together and gain the strength to lift something heavy. Like, that's classic Spider-Man, and they do it in this movie, and it's so good. But I'll let you keep talking, Shelby.
See, they do it visually, but in terms of Peter learning a lesson or having a narrative through line which builds to that moment, I don't think there is one.
Really?
At least not one that I think was as overt as it really should have been for for such a prominent visual metaphor.
The overzealous Tony Stark narration wasn't enough for you?
Well, no, the overzealous Tony Stark narration has nothing to do with the present moment. Like him saying. If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it.
Which is a good line.
Which is a good line, but what does that have to do with Peter Parker being able to carry a really heavy bit of building? The inward journey of the character is not reflected in that struggle. I think if there was going to be a moment for Uncle Ben to have a moment, that was it. But instead we've got Tony Stark saying something that has nothing to do with the present scene. I think if there was going to be a moment where Peter was going to have to come to terms with his responsibility and his personal sacrifice, it would have been between him getting out of the car to go to the prom and him deciding to pursue the Vulture in spite of going to prom with Liz. I think that moment should have been the "with great power comes great responsibility" moment. But instead of that there is no moment like that, apart from Peter saying selling weapons is bad, which is a more than enough of a motivation to do what he's doing. But I just feel like with Spider-Man there's a lot more on his plate. Like, I think there's a big Uncle Ben shaped hole in this film that for me was very noticeable. It's kind of like having an Iron Man movie without the military industrial backdrop. It's like having a Batman movie without the looming shadow of his parents' murder. It's stuff that I think is key and core to the character. And it feels like there were plenty of moments in Spider-Man Homecoming where it should have been present, but it just wasn't, and as a result we don't have much of a tangible journey for the character, apart from the suit doesn't necessarily make the man, which is fine, but he still gets the suit at the end, and Tony Stark did that in Iron Man 3. I guess I don't hate the film because of this. I still think that it's a really solid film, but I think in terms of balancing the personal life and his responsibilities, Spider-Man 2 did a much better job. The comics and the source material did a much better job with that sort of story. Even the balance is there. I didn't feel the struggle as much as I felt like they really wanted me to. But let's go to a spoilerific, really positive element that I loved, and that was the twist as to.
I kind of wanted to. I don't know. I feel.
Okay.
Well,
you know what? No,
I don't know. I feel like
fair.
I feel like I don't know. You jumped on that point. I'm like, well, I want to jump in on this. Like, I don't know.
That is fair.
I can't,
my bad.
I can't. I don't know if I can agree with you there. I do see what you're saying in the sense that that's the wrong point to put that Tony Stark narration. Like that took me out of the scene right away. I'm like that didn't need to be there. It has no business being there. But in terms of that being the moment that Peter becomes, I think it's more or less the moment Peter decides that he needs to be Spider-Man. You know what I'm saying? Like we have that moment where he realizes that he has to leave prom. But I think I think at that point, because he gets to Vulture and he's like, you're a bad guy, you're doing bad things, you need to not do that. And he's still this kind of kid, this kind of naive mentality of I'm an Avenger now, so I need to go and do Avenger things. But when Vulture literally drops a building on him, and he kind of has to sit there, and it's that great moment of Tom Holland does a really good job here. He's screaming, and he's calling for help, and no one's there. No one's going to help him there. If he doesn't do anything, he's going to die, and he has to find something within himself, not necessarily responsibility or anything like that, but he kind of has to find what strength he has, and he has to realize, and I think there's which is a great reference to the comics of, half his face, Spider-Man and whatnot, and it's a great visual, and it's him realizing that he has to be something else. He has to be something more than just Spider-Man. So I guess that's what they were trying to go for with having the Tony Stark narration in there, but having the half Spider-Man and half Peter was enough. And so when he gets to this rousing moment of I can be more. I am no longer just the kid wanting to be in the Avengers. I have to be the protector of my neighborhood or whatever. And he realizes that he has enough strength to do that. That's when he lifts the rubble up, and that's when he's going to take down the Vulture. And I think that was his more or less his Luke Skywalker Ben moment of he lost his hand. He's like, oh, now I have to be a Jedi, if you will.
Yeah, I get that. It's just that I feel like the film was so focused on portraying the physical struggle of him having to lift that building that it didn't really give an emotional hook to that scene. Okay. Apart from the Tony Stark narration. That scene is really effective when he's under the rubble, and it's like surprisingly dark and down to earth for an MCU film. Yeah. But the struggle in that scene is entirely physical.
I disagree. I feel like there's I feel like there's more than them just trying. I feel like him lifting that is symbolizing that he's becoming something more than what he was before. Which is what it's there in the comics for, is him. He has to realize he has to rile his strength to save Aunt May. Well, I think is what happens in that scene in the comic books. But I don't know. I feel like that was him saying, I need to be better, and more than just being like I need to lift this heavy thing. But then again, we come across as different things. And that's absolutely fine. We can agree that Tony Stark thing was absolutely not need to be there, and in fact, it pulled me right out of that scene. In fact, that might be the moment that won me over entirely in the film. Was I was like, when he's sitting there calling for help and no one's there to help him, I was like, Jesus. It's just like I was there, just like this is like Civil War dark. All right, I'm down for this.
I guess feel like him getting out of Adrian's car, and there's no hesitation in his mind, basically. At least not one that's really portrayed. The moment he gets out of Adrian's car, despite saying that he's not going to mess with him, he's going to mess with him. The moment he gets out of that car, it seems like his mind is made, and it's just him, like, just actually doing it. Whereas I feel like there should have really been the moment of, do I sacrifice this personal life? Do I sacrifice my relationship with Liz? And he knows my identity. Do I risk all of this stuff? And then there's no moment of him going, do I do this? Yes, I should do it, because with great power comes great responsibility, or another term, or another use of term, or whatever.
You have a moral obligation to do those things. No, I think that I don't think this Peter Parker is one that per se would have that waiver. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like since he's already gone through the great power, great responsibility stuff with Uncle Ben, I feel like the balance here is more of should I stop being this kind of naive kid that thinks I'm the best at everything? I know, I feel like that was more of his arc in this film than the responsibility type thing. And I don't, maybe that's what I got from it.
Well, it came across more that the issue wasn't should I do this, it was can I do this.
Okay.
Which is like, it's still a fair, like, that's a legit plot arc, that's absolutely fine, but it just, like I said, it just seemed like for the most part his struggle lifting up that building was entirely physical and not driven by his character growing. It feels like the Peter Parker at the beginning of Spider-Man Homecoming would have still taken down the Vulture the exact same way he does at the end of Spider-Man Homecoming. And as it's kind of like Peter Quill in Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. Mm-hmm. Okay, I enjoyed watching you in the film, but how have you changed apart from with Peter Parker? It is coming to terms with his suit and what it means to have that. Well,
he does go from wanting to be in the Avengers to choosing to stay and protect his neighborhood.
Yeah, but that's only because he had an Avengers-style adventure.
Is it?
I don't know. It was something that happened in New York, but it was still... I don't know, I just don't feel like Peter Parker really learned anything.
My friend said the exact same thing at the end of the movie. He's like, I really liked it, but I feel like Peter Parker didn't learn from his mistakes. And I'm like, I don't know if I can agree with that. I
felt like he learned from his mistakes. Yeah. I just don't feel like he
grew as a character.
Yeah, well, it just feels like the Peter Parker at the beginning of the movie would have done the same things he does at the end of the movie. Okay. If that makes sense.
I can agree with that. I feel like, but then again, I feel like that is kind of his character.
I think that's, you understand that because of for example, Captain America, but that's because he is given the physicality in order to do good, mm-hmm. whereas Peter Parker, from the beginning of the movie, already had it. Yeah. He didn't get a second spider bite while he was underneath that building, which made him more powerful. I'm not saying the movie should have done that, just to clarify, but that it works there because it is an accomplishment through metaphor, whereas Spider-Man Homecoming didn't really have that extra layer.
Well, he did have to do it without the help of Tony Stark. He had to, he didn't have any. All he had was his own suit that he had made himself,
which is fine. He's calling for help, and that help is not coming because he's like Tony Stark has saved him twice in this film. He's not coming this third time, but what does that have to do with? If you're nothing without this suit, then you shouldn't have it. To look at me with my reflection in the water.
I can't defend the Tony Stark thing. I can't defend that line.
But like I said, I did like the film. It's just the reason I'm not going to return to it anytime soon. Or it's not something that's going to be weighing on my mind, like say Logan, mm-hmm. In a few weeks' time. Not every superhero film needs to be Logan. Yeah, God no, yeah. That'd be depressing. Yeah. That'd be depressing.
No wonder everyone always hates the genre. It's like, I wanted Dark Knight. I'm like, well, you're not going to get that every time.
Nah, but hopefully I've been able to at least communicate my chief concern. And also, it's a nitpick, I know, but when Spider-Man is running through the neighborhood at night and it's a deliberate throwback to Ferris Bueller
on TV.
Okay, doing a throwback to Ferris Bueller, awesome. Pointing it out by having the movie and as he swings by saying, great movie, is terrible.
I liked it because, look, they Logan literally plays the ending of its movie like a third of the way in. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but they're doing that for the benefit of X-23.
I suppose.
They're doing this for the benefit of the audience, the Ferris Bueller thing.
Okay, you know what? Fair. I just feel like if in a movie you can cleverly... They didn't stop the movie to do it. I don't know. I feel like it was fine. I bought it. I went into it.
It would kind of be like if they did the Venom movie and
Spider-Man Homecoming was on TV.
They're watching Spider-Man 3.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
That was just something off the top of my head that sounds stupid now that I've thought about it. But
Well, it's like if Heat was playing on the background of The Dark Knight. Like they were like, oh, we're clearly referencing what we're doing right now. It's like they hung a lantern without actually hanging a lantern on it. I don't know. I'm kind of a fan of that meta humor. I don't know. But I do love vlogging Peter Parker. Peter Parker just vlogging at the start, and I love a film by Peter Parker.
And how he's like, I'm not going to show this to anyone, but I'm still narrating because it's fun.
Oh my god! It's like we have thin walls. We have really thin walls.
Jon Favreau's so cool.
He's really good in this movie. Happy Hogan's really a lot of fun.
because there's the scene where he's at the end and he meets Peter Parker in the bathroom, and yeah, it's an obvious joke where it turns out someone's in there and he flushes and then he walks awkwardly.
Oh, it was
but
so good, yeah.
In that moment, I just thought, if I was that extra, if I was that kid who walked out the toilet, when I'm on that set, I'm going to make a point to just go up to Jon Favreau and just be like, hey, I think you're amazing. I love Chef, Jungle Book, Zafir,
Swingers,
Elf, all
everything
these films.
you're in is just fantastic.
I think you're a treasure. Take care.
I would turn to him and say, "Hey man, look, I like cowboys and aliens. All right, like
good luck with Lion King."
I'm like, I know Beyonce's a bit hard, tough to work with, so have fun with that.
Hey, Donald Glover, he was here a few days ago, and they seem to implicitly mention Miles Morales.
Yeah, that might be my one reference where I'm just like, all right, guys, come on. There's no reason that he's like, I have a nephew. I'm like, well, and you're black. Like, well, obviously, you kind of like.
It's like, of course you got a nephew. You're black.
Well, it's like he's saying like he's a black guy, and like if it was just Donald Glover being Donald Glover, you're like, fine, good, nice scene, interrogation mode. You got to get better at that. I'm fine. But then he's like, listen, man, I'm helping. I got a nephew. It's like you didn't need.
Well, it was him saying like, I don't want guns.
No,
in this neighborhood.
I get why it's in the movie. I just feel like it's Sony and Marvel being like, well, hey, but for franchise building, it's like when C-3PO and R2-D2 showed up in Rogue One. You're like, of course they would be there on Yavin. That doesn't mean you have to show them. They didn't cut to the inside of the Ghost for Rebels and show the entire Rebels crew in Rogue. Like you can just have them like you can just hear R2-D2's beep, and that's enough. You don't even need that. You know what I'm saying?
But hey, like even though he mentions a nephew, it doesn't necessarily have to be Miles Morales just because he's black. Because as we've learnt, just because you're black doesn't mean you've got a parental figure who is not white.
Whatever.
Because
oh my god,
Michael Keaton,
yes,
is the dad.
It's almost as good as a reveal as Ice Cube being the dad in 22 Jump Street. It's almost as funny. It's almost as much of a shock. And it's just as obvious, and yet no one saw it coming. And it had the exact same...
I'm so sorry, but I know Ice Cube's a recurring joke in the podcast, but now I've just got this image of Tom Holland knocking at the door, and then opens, and Ice Cube is at the door,
well, they still
pulling that face that he pulls.
Well, they still have a chance to keep Ice Cube in this universe because we don't know what Michelle's last name is. So we still have a chance, and they call her MJ.
My God.
So there's still a chance that MJ could just be J. Jonah Jameson's daughter. I'm telling you.
No, and Ice Cube is just looking at this young white boy like, you dating this guy?
Oh my!
Give me some green beans.
Give him that to water. He's black. He's been through a lot. I feel like that entire scene it provides just like 2 hours.
It's
just riffing.
It is.
God,
it's also owned by Sony. This crossover can happen.
Oh, it's so funny.
but when because we talked about this off mic, but I had it spoilt that there was going to be a twist in terms of like parental figures, and I thought, okay, so Vulture is going to be Michelle's Zendaya's character's dad. And they're probably going to have their fight on the plane, then they're going to drop in the prom, and then he's going to be unmasked, like Vulture's going to be unmasked, and then Michelle will be like, Dad? And that's the twist. So I thought, that probably would have sucked, but that's what I thought it would be, because I'm very unoriginal. And then in the first scene with Adrian, he's got that picture from his daughter, and it's like, yeah, she's a great artist, she's got a bright future ahead of her, and Michelle is drawing throughout the film. So I thought, okay, so that kind of solidifies it. But then, when he goes to Liz to take her to prom, and he answers the door, you just felt everyone in my screening's buttocks clench.
Yeah, it was so
and just
perfect.
How tense.
I'd like to read that script and be like, and it's like Peter Parker rings his doorbell, excited for the first night in a long time. He feels like a normal kid until Adrian Toomes answers the door. You know, I guess I can just picture like this, and then like there's a tag like the entire audience clenches their butt. You can just hear like
that is in the script.
Yeah, I turned to my friend Thomas. I started like tightening the tension. I was like tension in the room. You could just feel it. It was palpable. It might as well have been on screen.
The scene in the kitchen and in the car, I don't think I've ever felt that amount of tension in a Marvel movie.
I was terrified. And I was... That's why... I think that's what makes Michael Keaton so great in this movie, is that he's so charming. I could watch him all day, and yet he's still incredibly terrifying. I really like Ultron as a villain because he's a lot of fun to watch, but I can understand why people don't find him threatening. And they managed to find that balance in this movie with both. And yeah, when he opens the door, he's like, "You're Peter, right? What is his name? Pedro?" I love that. There's a great picture going around. It's like, I don't know if you've seen those memes of like Drake, he disses the first thing and then like he likes the second thing. They did that with Michael Keaton. And it was like Peter Parker. He's like, no, and it's like Pedro Parker, and Michael Keaton like gives it a thumbs up. Oh, it was really funny.
It's I don't know if the Spider-Man films can pull that twist again of a surprise parental figure.
They shouldn't, even if they could.
Well, yeah, they shouldn't. But the fact that they played that card here, that's really refreshing in my opinion. And also when you've got because Harry and Norman Osborn and the parentals and the personal vendettas and all that stuff, that's something that will probably happen down the line, because that's kind of the direction you got to go with this character. With Spider-Man, it's by his nature. But to play that card here was just a great way to pull the rug from under audiences, even those who are well versed in comic book lore. Yeah. I thought it was just I know a lot of people didn't like. I know this does not include everybody, but a lot of people did not like Iron Man 3's Mandarin twist because it just went directly against the comics, and that was the only reason.
It went against its own movie.
I'm just talking about those who were like, it didn't follow the comics. Yeah. I get you. But there were people who were just like, it didn't follow the comics, therefore it was a terrible twist. But I felt like this one just landed so much more effectively in terms of just in the moment feeling the tension that Peter Parker feels in that
Talk about a second act twist, am I right? Like, it was just like, it's so, and like, there are audience reactions online already of people, watching the movie, having a good time. I love listening to those, by the way. It's just fun to listen to.
And those reactions online?
Yeah, well, Spider-Man Homecoming, and you can, people will record the audio in the theater. They won't show the movie, obviously, for legal reasons. But, and you can hear, that scene where Peter opens up the door, and you can hear the audience just go, oh. You can just hear, and it's amazing how quickly everyone is, silent. It's just dead silent in the theater. And everyone, and now you could hear the occasion, oh my god. And I was telling Shelby off camera, when the door opens, I kind of let this, I let it slip. I was kind of like, oh no shit. Because it caught me so off guard. I had no idea that was going to happen, even though I absolutely should have known that's what they were going to do, because it's so obvious that's what's going to happen here. But because it happens in every Spider-Man movie ever, they're always connected somehow. But I just never thought to piece that together, and so when it happens, it just comes out of nowhere, and it's so good. Talking about that scene in the car. Oh man!
But he's clearly a character. One thing I love about Vulture in the film, apart from just he is terrifying when he's in the costume, is that he does have his own sense of morality. He's like, okay, I'm doing this to support for my family. That he's lovely Walter house White. He owns doesn't pay for himself. Yeah, he is Walter White basically, and what happens is that when he's in the car and he's like, okay, I've got to give him the dad talk, and he's talking with Peter and he's saying, right, you rescued my daughter in Washington and I really thank you for that, so I'm gonna give you a chance to just walk away from this. And I really thought that was refreshing. Yeah. And then at the end post-credit scene, when basically the guy who's hinted to be Scorpion in future films is like, oh, I heard that you know his identity, you know who he is, and he doesn't talk. Whether or not he's saving him for later or saving him for himself, or he's just he saved my life at the end.
I highly doubt he's saving him for himself. I didn't see anything that character would do.
No, but I'm just throwing it on the table.
Yeah, I know, but I'm saying that because that's a thing that is going around. I'm like, there's no way that's the way it's going. Yeah, but I'm listening.
No, but it was like, he saved my life when I was when my suit blew up. I don't know how I survived the explosion, but he still saved my life. And I think he has his own consistent sense of morality, which it's one of the few post-credit scenes that is entirely character-driven. Yeah, which I really appreciated and liked. Yeah. And the final post-credit scene.
Yeah, I was saying, while we're on post-credit scene. So imagine this, guys. You're all sitting in the theater. We're all waiting. We all think we're getting an Infinity War teaser. I thought we were getting an Infinity War teaser. I thought there's no way they're not going to do some kind of Doctor Strange MCU connection. There's no. Actually, before we get to that, can we talk about the Marvel intro? And how excited I was? Trilby, I was giddy. I was, that feeling you get when you see the first Avengers and Hulk destroys the thing, and they all do the spin around shot, and the Alan Silvestri's theme plays, and as a 5-year-old comic book fan, and you've been reading comics for 10 years, and suddenly you're watching this movie and it's happening on screen, and so you get really emotional and cry. At least I did. something very similar happened to me when you get the cold open and then the Michael Giacchino Spider-Man theme just kicks in, and you see all the flipping Marvel screen caps and then you see Doctor Strange, and then Spider-Man's there. I won't lie to you. I shed a tear, Trilby. I feel like I kind of said to myself, I was like, welcome home, man. It's good to see you. It's good to see you. It was so perfect.
Yeah, because the cold open with Adrian losing his job.
Yeah.
And before that played, it was the Columbia and Sony logo and everything. I was like, oh, where's the Marvel Studios one? And then it came.
I was like, they're saving
after
it,
that cold open.
Yeah, and it kicks. Yeah.
I have a feeling that they changed that Marvel Studios logo with every film now.
Yeah, they do.
Because I don't recall Rocket and Groot from Guardians of the Galaxy 2 being in the logo, but I saw them in there.
Spider-Man wasn't in the Guardians one. It was just Doctor Strange. I think they added with each. I think they added with each movie, and so they added Spider-Man into this logo, and it was so. I felt so complete. It felt like we were finally getting paid off. It's like seeing Wolverine. It's like if we were to see Logan in a Marvel movie. It just feels like so much is rewarded. You know, it's like all these years of reading comic books and watching the shows and watching the movies and going and paying $10 every time to this franchise, this ever going TV saga, and then to have it all accumulate almost in the Spider-Man theme from the 60s being played over this saga of films. I got really emotional, and my friend Thomas was like, "You're crying already?" I'm like, "It's so great, Spider-Man's he's in the Avengers." And
it's funny that when that Giacchino score was on Instagram, and then someone immediately put it with the Marvel logo.
Yeah,
and then they actually did it in the film,
and it's oh my,
and it worked.
And it's a bittersweet intro because as beautiful as it is, and I can listen to that theme and watch that logo for hours, and I have. And so to have the actual score in the movie be incredibly lackluster. My thing with Michael Giacchino, like, you have a good, and I tweeted this, I'm like, you have a good theme there, and you clearly adapted that theme for the Marvel Studios logo. Just make that the main theme of the movie. If this movie is all about going back to your roots and being classic Spider-Man, which it very much is, so much so that they recreate certain panels for the big screen, just do that. Like, I'm fine like with that, like with the Spider-Man theme for the MCU being the TV theme. That's absolutely okay. In fact, it's so iconic. I don't see why you wouldn't do that. Like, could you imagine, like, Spider-Man, like, you have that moment that you hate, Trilby, that he lifts up the rocks, and, like, you hear the ba-na-na-na, like, you hear, like a slower kind of orchestral version of that. People would clap, Trilby. That'd be so perfect. And you would just have this music that you already think Spider-Man when you think that, so why not think movie Spider-Man when you think that? You know what I'm saying? But instead we have this kind of like Diet Dr. Pepper version. Kind of like when you watch Rogue One, you're like, and they have the Rogue One like title card. And you're like, I feel like that's royalty-free Rogue One music. I feel like I'm listening to royalty-free Spider-Man music when I hear that music. And it bothers me.
It feels like they're using a Kevin MacLeod score.
Nothing against that music. It's good music on its own. But like, it's just, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's not... You know, you're getting paid millions of dollars to write, and it's not like he only had like a week and a half to write that write that score. It's he took his time with it, and there's some good music in it. I just couldn't. That theme is so damn good. But we'll move back to the end, that post credit scene that I interrupted you from earlier.
So you're waiting for an awesome post credit sequence or some tease to the future. Yeah. Then it's just a white screen, and who walks in but Chris Evans
and again,
in his campy Captain America
and again I turned to Thomas and I said, of course. And
he's talking about patience. Yeah. And sometimes you wait a long time for something and it just doesn't meet your expectations.
These credits weren't as long, though, as some of the Civil War credits were like 12 minutes, you know what I mean? But these credits were probably like 5. But still, they took a while to get there, and it was good. Like, the whole audience for the theater, like, it's like, obviously everyone stays for both of them now, and like, and it was great because everyone was just like, aw. And you could just hear, and the best part about the end credits now is that people don't just wait till the Marvel logo comes up at the end. They wait till the lights come on and the commercials start playing and the people start cleaning to walk out of the theater, because they're never gonna miss it again. I'll tell you what, they're never gonna miss that again. You have one shawarma scene and no one leaves until they make you leave. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like in the SpongeBob movie where it's like, listen, Missy, the movie's not over yet. And they make them. Yeah, it's a reference. No one gets it. It's fine. It's just me. 13 years
But in my
old.
screening, in my screen, basically everyone stayed until the
Yeah.
end, and then when the house lights came up and the staff came to clean up, some people from the front 2 rows actually spoke to the cleaners and was like, "Is there any more? Is there more than that?" And they're like, "No, that's it. I'm afraid."
They must get that question every God. I never want to work in a movie theater for the rest of my. Good God, that sounds awful. Just to be like, ugh, there's another Marvel movie out. We can't clean yet. Even though, because the goal is to get that theater clean as quickly as possible for the next screening. But and so you're already losing 10, 15 minutes waiting for these Marvel credits to be over. You know what I'm saying? Oh man, thank God DC doesn't do that. But it was nice to see Spider-Man will return. I kind of wanted to see Spider-Man will return in the Avengers, but that's fine. I'll wait. That's fine. But Spider-Man will return, and you get that nice. And then, of course, just all that moment's ruined by Sony. It's like when you watch Ghostbusters, and it's like for Harold Ramis, and before his name's even off the screen, you just see Sony in size 76 font in the Ghostbusters end credits. Like, for Harold Ramis, Sony, be moved. Okay.
Yeah, well, considering that this is a Sony movie, apart from Audi cars, there didn't seem to be as much obnoxious product placement in this film.
See. That's what happens
who is paying the bills
here. That's what happens when Mickey Mouse, visits your house for a night. You know what I'm saying? Which just sounds awful unless I put that in there.
Can you imagine that meeting with the Sony execs and Disney? And okay, so we've got 50 companies who wanted your product placement with the Spider-Man movie. That's how we're going to pay for this thing, right? And then Disney are like, well, we pay for our films because our films make a lot of money. How do you pay for your films?
What do you mean? Your movies don't make movies make $600 million? No, our last two made about $1.5 billion each, right? Yeah, so that pretty much covers the next couple of budgets. Yeah, we track Infinity War for cracking $2 billion, so I think we're pretty set for the next few phases. Yeah, it's just Kevin Feige sitting on a pile of money.
Just just with a jaw dropped at the end of the desk and just like. Okay, so maybe just one Audi commercial.
It's like, oh yeah, well Audi. That's just Audi doesn't even pay us. We just kind of like the way the cars look. So.
Yeah, but what else was I thinking? What about spoilery? The MJ.
That's
twist?
What I'm saying. Yeah. Okay, tell you what. Half my audience groaned and half my audience got excited. I was the half that got excited because I'm like, yes. My friend Thomas didn't like that. He was like, oh, man. I was just like, yes. Not because I'm like, I feel like people aren't groaning because she's black. I feel like people are groaning because she's not pretty. Well, correction.
Or she's not the conventional Mary Jane.
Yeah, she's not like supermodel, hard to reach, just like goddess. You know what I'm saying? It's not like she's like Scarlett Johansson as Mary Jane Watson, which. In my fan casting. Anyways, sorry, I got distracted. No, but she does it to me. And I was so happy that and I love that they hinted that Mary Jane stalks Peter, which is a nice play in the whole relationship. I love that I love that they hinted at, she knew his schedule and stuff, right? That's what they were saying. Or he has.
I'm not a stalker. I'm just observing.
Yeah, I love that. Was so perfect. I love that she's just kind of like this loner chick that clearly has this semi. You ever seen the show Hey Arnold?
Yeah.
Something like that, where it's just this semi obsession with this kid. I thought that was really. I thought it was really cute. I thought it was nice.
Well, she's very much like Alison from The Breakfast Club.
Yeah,
who's the introverted. Not she's not a goth, but she's sort of she acts like she doesn't really care, but she really appreciates the interaction when it is there.
Yeah, she clearly was happy to be now the new captain of the math leader or whatever club. Yeah,
but in the scene where they're in gym and they're it's in the trailer. You can actually see the shot when they're watching the Captain America video, and Peter Parker's like, "Yeah, I know him. I stole his shield." In the back row, Michelle is reading "Of Human Bondage" by William Somerset Maugham.
I caught that too.
That's a dense book, and she's 14, 15.
Yeah,
and I think that says an awful lot about her character.
And I can't wait to know more about her. And like I said, she stole every scene every time she was on screen. I couldn't turn around. I'm like, this is a really fun character to watch. When Peter gets to the part after the party or prom and he's waving at everybody and she just flips him off. That was so perfect. That was so great. Not to mention, we should probably mention this. Aunt May almost gets the first fuck in the Marvel Universe. Yeah. Aunt May almost gets the first spoken fuck in the Marvel Universe. MJ gets the second middle finger in the MCU after Star-Lord, which is nice. That's a nice little touch. But They almost gave Aunt May the first fuck, which is almost as good as giving it to Captain America or Groot. That's almost as good. Like, cause like of all the characters you have, like all the characters you would expect or you think that should, to give it to Aunt May is pretty exciting. I kind of want the sequel to start with Uck. You know what I'm saying? Like the sequel to be like just straight from it.
See, I'm not sure if I'm a fan of Aunt May knowing Peter's identity this early into this character's iteration.
In Spider-Man 2, going back to the Raimi films, does
she know in Spider-Man 2? Does she ever know?
She has that talk with Peter in Spider-Man 2 when she and Henry are talking, when she and Henry are cleaning things out or whatever, getting rid of comic books, and she's like, "You're not Superman, you know." I feel like that conversation very much like Lucius Fox in Batman. I think it's very much implied that she knows what's going on, right? And so I'm completely fine with Aunt May knowing about Spider-Man and what he does, because I think, not talking about things that have been done already, that dynamic of, I've got to keep this from Aunt May, that since that we now can get rid of that kind of dynamic. We can now kind of more worry about, how does one deal with the fact that their parent figure does not want them out being a superhero because they have the potential to die every day. And you talk about Uncle Ben having an Uncle Ben sized hole in the film. There's a great line in there where where Peter...
And you say, I'm stuck in the past.
Where Peter tells Ned, who was fantastic, he tells Ned, he says, after everything that happens, I can't, Ned. And I thought that was a great line. I thought that was a great way to put the Uncle Ben thing in there. And since this movie's being so much told, they just put a gunshot noise in there, you know what I'm saying? Like, after everything that happened, and you just hear, it's like an echo. I would have laughed so hard in the theater. No, but like, it was, that was a great line. He turns to his friends like, I can't, man, not after everything that happened. And then right away, his friend understands why he has to keep it a secret. And I really appreciated that.
I appreciated the line, but it was kind of like the Amazing Spider-Man trying really, really hard to not say with great power comes great responsibility. Okay. It was like, just say Uncle Ben.
I don't know. I feel like
his name.
I feel like I was far more into that than bringing up Uncle Ben. I feel like if they were bringing up Uncle Ben again, I feel like we would have had to at least seen something of Uncle Ben. I feel like you can't. I thought this was a nice way to handle the whole Uncle Ben thing. It's like when they do the Batman reboot. And I mean, to be fair, we've already seen this Batman's parents get shot, so never mind. I was like, it's like if in Batman he's swinging by and he stops and he looks in Crime Alley, that's all we need, or a picture of his parents on the wall, like in Lego Batman. That's all we really need of the origin. And we brought up Uncle Ben as well in Civil War when he's like, sometimes when you have these abilities, he essentially says great power comes great responsibility in that movie, and it's implied that Uncle Ben's already been shot, which is And again, just put a gunshot in the background.
And then every time that happens, he just stares into the camera, the background darkens, and you just hear the gunshot police sirens.
The iris the iris closes down, like you see a spotlight slowly grow on his face, and it's like, have you ever seen the show Phineas and Ferb? Oh, never mind. There's a great...
no, but I think I know what you mean.
The Academy, where like one of the main characters, like he's like the Academy, and like all the lights go out, and you just hear like background, like this war drama happening in the background. I don't want to go to the Academy, Father. Like this really dark backstory for this character. Oh, it's really funny. I guess imagine that happened. not since the accident. You just hear sirens, and the guy runs away, and with great power comes great. They should do that every time Peter Parker looks sad. You know what I'm saying? Like Captain America will go, "Nice job, kid," and Peter Parker will just start from the distance.
Like, kid, are you okay?
What? You just hear a gunshot go off. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, but I thought that line was a really nice way to handle the whole Uncle Ben thing, and that was all I needed personally. I was like, we know what Uncle Ben is, so I thought that was plenty of Uncle Ben for me. But yeah, they gave the first fuck to Aunt May, which is pretty nice.
What did you think about basically like giving Peter Parker a suit that did almost everything for him?
I thought that was a nice juxtaposition in a sense, because I knew from the trailers that he was going to lose that, and I'm like, this is going to be a nice contrast to when he has to go on his own. And I thought that worked with the whole Peter Parker trying to be an Avenger and decided that he just needed to be the neighborhood Spider-Man. I thought that was a nice way to handle it. I don't know. What do you think, buddy?
I felt like it was good for him to wear it, but then he gets it back at the very end, which I felt kind of went a little bit against it. But it was also...
You don't feel like he earned it by the end of the film?
No, I felt like he earned it, but it was like, okay, when he had that suit, with the exception of him using the taser webs on Vulture, the suit and the added stuff was an absolute hindrance, like with everything. So when he's like, "Oh, I'm nothing without this suit," it's like you were doing absolutely fine with the training wheels protocol. You were doing absolutely fine.
I love that name.
Like,
I love that name.
Like,
oh my god.
Like, and there was like Baby Monitor as well. The Baby Monitor.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, it led to some fun interplay with Tom Holland and Jennifer Connelly.
I was trying to figure
Karen.
out. I don't think they put her. I don't know if she's in the end credits or not, but I couldn't find her. And I was like,
I think she is.
I was like, whose voice? It was bothering me the entire. I'm like, who was Karen? Who played the computer wife?
It was Vision's wife.
Vision's wife. Yeah. Jocasta, but we see that in Age of Ultron.
But yeah, I feel like the interplay between Karen and Peter was really well done. I like the scene where he's trying to break out of the storage facility and trying to talk to her and connect with her, and it's only been 37 minutes. Or
it's a really
long.
Nice slowed down scene of just Peter essentially talking to himself.
Yeah, I liked that. But I just think in future, you just keep the training wheels protocol on. Because it gets. Is there a way
he can keep Karen and keep the training wheels protocol? I don't know. You know what I really liked when they're in the elevator and he's just like, "Kiss her, Peter." I love that. That was perfect. That was almost as good as the cape wiping away his tears in Doctor Strange. Just that little. Those are the moments I think Marvel has over DC. I don't mean to do a Marvel versus DC thing here, but I think that that's to me those are kind of humanity that most of these superhero movies really tend to lack. You know what I mean? Like. Everyone loves the X-Men so much, but I feel like X-Men rarely has those moments or X-Men, or even, something like Deadpool, or, Logan was the first time I felt like in a long time we got that kind of, humanity, that relatability from movies, that moments like, "Kiss her, Peter," that tend to give. And I don't know, I feel like Marvel's mastered that,
I think in future films, so if it's Infinity War or Homecoming 2 or whatever they end up calling it, I think maybe, like, lose the suit, but then when it comes to like the big battle, the group battle at the end of Infinity War, whatever, maybe he can upgrade to the Iron Spider suit and Karen is back. I just feel like we've already got what's her
Friday.
Name? Friday and Tony's here. Unless you're losing Tony Stark from this MCU entirely,
I feel like that's what they're leading towards, isn't it? Because they already have a new Jarvis. But here's my thing, right? Because like they gave Friday so little personality. They gave Karen,
except she's Irish.
Yeah, they gave Karen so much personality. Like she reminds me a lot of her in the sense of like I can end up dating Karen. You know what I'm saying? Not that I would want to, but like I could go on a date with Karen. Like she clearly,
she's an Oscar-winning actress, so like, she gives a lot of personality.
She's just like, I have this idea. Let's go to a club and let's do something fun. Reckon for a dream. Oh boy. It's just like I don't see why. Yeah, I feel like they're absolutely leaning towards Karen being the new Jarvis. I don't understand why Karen couldn't just be Friday. Like, I don't understand why they can just have it be Friday with more personality, but I did really like Karen and everything they did with Karen.
Yeah, I just personally prefer the Spider-Man who was sitting on his own eating a sandwich at the side of a building.
Oh, yeah. This lady got me a churro.
Yeah, I like that. I like that whole scene, but where he's just on his own there.
Is this somebody's bike?
As opposed to Spider-Man with someone constantly in his ear, someone constantly to talk to.
I can see that.
I don't know, it's just some characters it suits, and I think with Spider-Man, I liked the dynamic, I just think it's something that should be kept to a minimum.
People feel the same way. I've heard the same thing about James Bond. Now people prefer James Bond to be kind of on his own and kind of have to figure this thing out without having Q or somebody always telling him where to go and whatnot. And so I can understand that mindset. I just thought it made for, because I knew he was going to lose it, so I thought it made for some fun juxtaposition of, oh, we got to see Spider-Man on his own, now we get to see what's going to be like to have Spider-Man with almost the HD, the HUD display, Spider-Man with his own Jarvis. Since Spider-Man is kicking off Phase 4, which I think was officially announced, Spider-Man 2 will be kicking off Phase 4, which is nice. It's really good to have him home. I don't know, I can't keep saying that. But into... So I by the time we got to the third act and he was back in his hoodie mask getup, I thought it made for a nice lighthearted second act where we got easily the best action sequence in the film, which was in Washington on the monument. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and talking about scale and stuff, and there was a point where he flips on the helicopter and he swings, and we see a bit of it in the trailer where he gets the web wings and which is just classic comic books again, yay. And then he does the flip, and and swings the helicopter around. You're like, oh, Spider-Man again! Kick that Giacchino theme. Just kick that in right there. Perfect moment. I might do my own edit.
I'm looking forward to your fan edit.
I was gonna say I might make my own
put
little
that
fan and
theme.
just put that theme and slow it down a bit. Ugh, perfect. Anyways, he gets back on the building. I don't know.
So, other spoiler stuff. I like the Stan Lee cameo.
I liked half the Stan Lee cameo.
Half of it.
Yeah.
What didn't you like?
I think like the first part of it where he's like, "Put that down, you punk." I thought because there was so much going on, just suddenly have Stanley be like, "Put that down, you punk." I'm like, "That's good," but then it cuts back.
Hey,
to
I'll pop out of my head.
It punks. It cuts back to him. I'm like, you didn't need that other 3 seconds or so. Side note: his wife recently passed away, which is terrible, and I feel so bad for him. I hope he's doing all right. But this also worries me. I don't think he's long for this world anymore. Which
way to bring that up.
Worries me. I just feel like I feel like if we didn't talk about it, someone would have tweeted me and been like, "Where's Joan Lee?" And I'm like, "Well, I should bring it up." Also, Marvel, if you're doing a video on Joan Lee, maybe put a picture of Joan Lee as a thumbnail, not a picture of Stan Lee, because to the passing by, this is remembering Blink Lee and just a picture of Stan Lee. You gave like millions of nerds heart attacks. All right, so be careful, Marvel. Jesus.
Well, DC Comics actually put out a really affectionate statement on the passing of Joan Lee.
Yeah.
And the statement reads, sorry for the digression, but I've just got it in front of me.
Fine.
DC said, of all the great stories Stan Lee has to tell, the most touching is of the day he met Joan, the British model who would become his future wife. Instantly smitten, Stan proposed on the first day of their meeting, beginning a beautiful, enviable life together for nearly 7 decades. Wow. Everyone at DC is truly saddened to hear of the passing of Joan Lee, and our hearts go out to Stan and his family in their time of loss. That's from Diane Nelson.
Oh, wow, that got me. Man, where was that in Batman Superman? That's all I'm asking. Sorry. Sorry.
Joan.
Sorry. Thank you, Trilby.
Why'd you say that
I'm glad
name?
you jumped on this train with me, Trilby. This cynical, just making fun of his death, making light of the death of this making light of this tragedy. Yeah, I don't think he's long for this world. Yeah, I think he might go this year. If I'm honest with you.
Let's not jinx it.
I'm not superstitious. Sorry.
That's fair enough. But if he does this year, people will blame you.
I don't give
I don't give a
Yeah, he's 94. He's big bucket of Winnacle, Kevin Smith. I want him to die. I feel like he might, Debbie Reynolds this thing, and he might go pretty soon. And if he does, that's a shame. But but going back to the movie itself, I liked half that cameo. There was another there were other references and stuff to other Spider-Man lore that I really dug. Betty Brant was a nice one. I'm like, of course, because of course she goes to the same high school as Peter Parker. I'm like, that's really nice. It's just a nice Easter.
I like the student news and how cheesy and how poorly done it was.
Because you know what? Again, Shelby, that's so accurate to how it works. That's exactly whether it be news or announcements, it's just like, oh, the announcements, and like clearly like the kids were handed this information like 3 minutes ago before they had to go on air, and clearly they don't know how to pronounce names, so they always pronounce a name wrong, and like that's exactly how it is. And then they have that proposal. They had the promposal, and she just denies it. She's like, I already have a date. He's like, oh, and she's like, yeah. I'm like, that was that. I'm like, I've seen that too. A lot of that was really accurate. That was accurate to actual high school. It's almost like they knew what they were writing about, and they weren't just writing for 30-year-olds stuck in a high school set. Setting up Sinister Six with Scorpion, which is nice, but there's not much else. I think I can bring up.
One thing I did like is that at the end, when the plane crashed, basically Vulture wins the fight.
Oh, yeah.
He's about to kill Spider-Man, but then he sees that final box and goes for it. And I think Peter saving him from that. It was just a really nice, unconventional ending.
I really thought they were gonna do that cliche thing of like the villain wants too much and he's gonna die because of that. I'm like, don't do that, guys. You're doing. But no, Peter ends up. That was so good. Peter saves his life. They didn't kill the villain.
He carries him out of the smoke and then webs him up and leaves a note for the police.
Yeah,
so it was really nicely done.
Nice callback to the start with the bike.
Yeah, and Spider-Man movies have a habit of killing their awesome villains.
Yeah.
So it's good that he's alive for the foreseeable
future. They may be setting up
Sinister Six or whatever.
Yeah, they may be setting up Vulture to be the Sandman of this universe, of kind of like the villain that always kind of helps out Spider-Man when they're working with the Sinister Six. There's always that one villain that's like gives Spider-Man a heads up or something because he's sympathetic towards Spider-Man, and I feel like they're setting up Vulture to be that villain, which is pretty nice because he's gonna be in the Sinister Six. Like, why else? keep him alive and have post-credit scene being like they might as well have just had Scorpion walk in and be like, Sinister Six. Do you watch Orphan Black?
No.
He's that Scorpion's in Orphan Black, and every time he was on screen, I'm like, Orphan Black. I'm like, Orphan Black. He just lost a finger in Orphan Black. That's like it's like that's a good show, by the way. If you guys haven't seen Orphan Black, watch Orphan Black. It's great.
I like the Shocker. The Tinkerer.
Yeah,
I thought
bloody
Mr.
Prometheus. Yeah, that he was in it.
It's like, now he's calling himself Shocker. Shocker. What is this, wrestling?
Yeah, I like how they touched on that. He was I wasn't a huge fan of Vulture's henchmen, but that I
thought they fit him well.
Huh?
I thought that they fit him well and didn't really distract from
They
him.
were just kind of guys, and I can appreciate that. They weren't just naturally evil people. They were just kind of guys.
Well, that's the problem with like Spider-Man's almost his entire rogues gallery. They're just really elaborate bank robbers.
That's what I told Tom. I'm like, they're all just kind of people. You know what I mean? They're all just kind of like guys that think that things happen. Like there are other people that there are other scientists that did something wrong, or they're just a guy in a suit. That's why I love Mysterio so much. He's just this special effects guy that kind of just does evil stuff. That's kind of why I love Mysterio so much. Speaking of which, next movie they have to do Kraven. They've got to do it. They've got to do Kraven, and they've got to cast Timothy Olyphant. That's all I'm asking, because that's something I've wanted to see for a long time. Because I can feel like if there's anyone that can pull it off well, it's Timothy Olyphant. Or go the exact opposite, Walton Goggins from The Hateful Eight as Kraven the Hunter. Do you know who Kraven is in comic books?
Yeah. Kraven's Last Hunt, and he's after the perfect prey and stuff. Walter Goggins is actually a good shout.
Yeah, I don't know, because I feel like, especially, I don't know if Walton Goggins can do a different accent than Hillbilly, but whatever. Because I feel like this sequel, you got Empire Strikes Back. This obviously make it a darker sequel if you want, and you have to have repercussions for what Peter's done. And I think that's something that the sequel is going to play up is the effects of the universe. And I think that's something that the movie's all about. The movie's all about what the Avengers does on the public. So I feel like the sequel should be what Spider-Man has done to the world at this point. And so
I'd love to see them do a Kraven movie just so that the movie poster can be the image of Spider-Man climbing out of his
No,
his
you can't put that in the poster. You gotta save that for
it's a comic book cover.
I know, but you've gotta save that moment, Trilby. You can't put that in the trailers.
Or is that the money shot of the trailer? Or
no,
do you say
that
image has got to be a poster.
No, Trilby, you've got to save that. They didn't put the church fight in the Kingsman trailer. You gotta save that, Trilby.
They put it in the trailer.
They put like 4 seconds of it. But you can have Spider-Man like you crawling through some dirt, but that's it. That's it. That's all you can show. That's your moment. That's your how do I say this? That's your Hulk thrashing Loki moment. If you imagine if they put that in the trailer, that would ruin everything. You know what I'm saying? It's like the small knives joke. You just ruin the whole thing. God.
Something I randomly read in an interview with John Watts. The shot of Peter Parker and Iron Man swinging and flying through the city, not in the movie, and the shot of the Vulture coming down from the ceiling of the ferry, not in the trailer. So it's in the trailer, but it's not in the movie. And he was talking about those and saying that they were never intended to be in the film. They just shot them for the trailer.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I love when movies do that. They're like, oh, let's just do this exactly like the tape thing in Guardians. Okay, I don't have much else to talk about unless you want to say something else.
Not really. No, I think. I think we're done here.
All right. Well, then in that case, again, I really enjoyed the movie. I'm excited to see what happens next.
I thought it was the worst thing since Amazing Spider-Man 2.
Yeah.
Hated it. 7 out of 10.
Truly hated it. 7 out of 10. I thought it was a masterpiece. 8.7.
I liked the Gwyneth Paltrow appearance.
Oh yeah.
I like Pepper Potts.
The first thing I said, I was like, "So you wanted to come back, huh?" Like, you needed that money, huh? It's like,
you needed that Marvel.
That was my first thought. I was like, somebody
revived coupling very expensive.
That's what it sounds like. Somebody revived their contract. That was my first thought. I was like, I went to go. I'm like, oh, I see. We're not too good for you now, are we, Gwyneth Paltrow? Oh, I see. You didn't want to be in Age of Ultron, even though you definitely were supposed to be. Whatever. All right. Also, that kind of belittles Civil War just a tad, doesn't it? because kind of Tony's very much on the ropes in that movie. So do they? Because this takes place after Civil War, and Pepper and Tony are broken up. How soon after Civil War does this take place? Like, it's gotta be like a week, right? Like that's like
it's a few months.
Is it a few months? Okay.
Well, it's 2 months later from the beginning of the film because it's after Tony Stark drops Spider-Man off, and then he's like, "Oh, we'll call you," and then 2 months later, Peter Parker's still waiting for the call.
That's right. So this is like a couple of months. So Pepper Potts managed to get Peter Parker in like a couple of months, or not Peter Parker, excuse me. That's my
Tony Stark walks in on Pepper Potts and Peter Parker doing it, and he's like, "What the?" And then that cuts the credits.
That's the end of the sequel. No, that's my version of the movie. No, so Pepper Potts and Tony Stark got back together and met a couple of months. I guess. I don't know. I feel like that ruins that moment in Civil War.
Well, it depends on. I know he's still Iron Man because he's in the suit quite a bit.
Well,
so.
I think Iron Man 3 he got rid of his suits, but in Avengers: Age of Ultron, he doesn't. He does drones. So I think that I think that's different. As opposed to him actually being in the suits all the time, constantly making suits. I think he starts making drones because he wants to be Iron Man less and less, much like Robert Downey Jr.
I know that this discussion is going on for ages, but there's just one. I liked how when Tony Stark first rescues Peter, he's in a different country and he just sends an empty suit. And then the second time, Peter Parker's like, "Well, if you really cared, you'd actually be here." And then he steps out the suit and completely throws him off.
Yeah.
I thought that was a
I love how
moment.
Tony Stark was just an angry dad. You know, like my favorite part about Civil War was the fact that Hawkeye was just a dad on vacation. But like they literally just made Tony Stark the dad in this movie, and it was really fun. It was it was a lot of fun. It's like, "God's like my father. I'm taking your suit away." Like he literally just grounded Peter Parker, and it was really fun. I was like, Tony Stark just put Peter Parker on restriction. That was fun. It was like it's kind of like Lego Batman and like Parent Lock, and it's Alfred.
Yeah, I've taken away your computer privileges.
Dun, dun.
Gasp!
Dun dun dun! It's like, sir, it's morning.
Speaking of Hawkeye and Jeremy Renner, have you heard he's broken both of his arms?
Is that what happened? I didn't read the actual thing.
He was on set for that comedy he's doing, Tag. And he broke both of his arms.
I read it was on the Avengers. I thought that's what
people have been misreporting it from what I can tell. It was on the movie Tag.
How? A comedy?
A comedy where the stakes are surprise. Have you heard about the movie Tag?
No.
It's got Ed Helms, Jeremy Renner, Annabelle Wallis, John Hamm, Isla Fisher as these guys who are a group of friends at high school who agree to meet up like once a year to play tag, but it's a tag game that goes all around the world.
That sounds fun. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a comedy.
So he broke both his arms,
next
huh?
Year.
Man, even the universe is wanting to be Hawkeye. Man.
He's gonna have to pull the bow and arrow with his feet.
He's gonna be like those guys in the Paralympics. So like have to like that do bow and arrow, they do archery with their foot because they don't have any arms, which is a really cool feat. If you guys haven't seen those videos, I'd recommend watching that. Those guys that do archery with their feet, I'm like, how? Like I can't even stretch to my feet. What's that?
Have you seen the movie Dodgeball?
Bits and pieces. Ben Stiller, right?
And it's like, yeah. And there's a joke where he's like, "Oh, I hope that guy falls off this roller coaster and breaks every bone in his body." And then a few scenes later, he's like, "Oh, he fell off the roller coaster and broke every bone in his body," and he's just there in a full body cast. I can just imagine Jeremy Renner showing up as Hawkeye, and he's just in a full body cast, but he's still got the Hawkeye costume on top of it. He's like, "Come on, guys, let's be Avengers! Assemble!" He's like, "No, Jeremy, stop."
In my vision, I really should watch Rick and Morty, because right now I'm imagining Ice-T from Rick and Morty, but no one knows what that means unless you watch that episode of Rick and Morty. Would be I can just imagine like Thanos is just there like, "Take me down, human," and the Jeremy Renner's just like, "Oh yeah," and he's just like shuffling towards him like that little girl in A Christmas Story, just like shuffling towards him. Clearly he can't do anything. He's got two arms cast with like he looks like two sausages on his arms. Oh my god, that's awesome. Alright, Shelby. We've been talking for 3 hours. Let's do.
It's been fun.
Let's get some listener questions, shall we?
Excuse me. I'd like to ask you a few questions.
All right, guys. This is the listener question portion of the show. In which case, we talk about the listener questions that you guys post on the Facebook page. What? Yeah. All right. I'm installing so I can open the page right now. Here I am. Come on, Android. Quit taking too long. Still slowly going at it. Okay. Well, just a couple questions from this show today.
It is very late on a Sunday.
I'm gonna skip the Notre Dame question. Sorry, Claire.
Oh, no, that is funny. I like that though.
Let's see. There's all use of Spider-Man base. That's good. Let's try this one. Tom Quirk asks, are there any good aspects of the Amazing Spider-Man films? I'll let you start that, Trillbee.
They're no longer around.
Oh my god.
For the Amazing Spider-Man 1, I think that Andrew Garfield and Emma Stone have legit chemistry because they were dating at the time. That chemistry did not come from the script, it came from them. I like the idea of getting a rom-com 500 Days of Summer director to do a dressed down, much back to basics version of Spider-Man, which is what they were originally going to do. But then Sony were like, no, let's give this guy who's done hardly anything a $250 million budget. Let's give him a budget bigger than the Avengers to do the Amazing Spider-Man 1. No joke, that had a $250 million budget. It's not on screen. But I liked Rhys Ifans as Kurt Connors.
You mean that guy's name? That guy's name who I can never pronounce. Rhys
Ifans.
Yeah, Rhys Ifans.
Riffin. I think you should just put both names together. Riffins. That's his name.
I call him
Crinners.
I call him Lizard. That's he's been that for the rest of his life for me. I'm like, oh, it's Lizard. There it is.
I thought he did well with the material. I think there's a couple of cool shots in the first one, but as for this Amazing Spider-Man 2, I can't really think of a single redeeming quality.
Okay, so I genuinely like the first Amazing Spider-Man. It's my second favorite Spider-Man movie before Homecoming had released. I think it's a far better take on the origin than Raimi's take, and you can sue me all you want. You guys can get as upset as you want. But if you go back and watch Raimi's film, there are some things about it that are absolutely unwatchable, and I think that some things about it that are absolutely atrocious. It's a decent origin, it's a decent start, and gets exceptionally better in the sequel, and then exceptionally worse somehow in the third one. But I thought Amazing Spider-Man was a great way to handle that origin. I was a fan of the Dark Knight-esque of Spider-Man because whatever. The film's biggest disappointment was that he wasn't a very good Peter Parker, but he was a fantastic Spider-Man. In a world where Tom Holland didn't exist yet to us, it was nice to see a jokey Spider-Man, and I appreciate what they were trying to go for, the more grounded take on it. Andrew Garfield, I think to this day, still works as a really good Spider-Man. I think in a different universe, he could have been Spider-Man. Still, and I think that everyone in it is fantastic. I've never been the big fan of the Gwen Stacy romance in those films. I think they're always the weakest aspects. I think it's far better in the first one than it is in the second one, as opposed to I like my favorite scene in that movie is when they're talking and it's just those two, and he's like, we could do that, or we could do this, and she's like, yeah, and he's like, yeah, she's like, yeah, either one. That's my favorite line in that movie. That's such a cute moment between those two. Or when Martin Sheen's like, he's got you on his computer. I thought that, I don't know, I really like that first movie. The second one's a literal dog turd, and I can't defend much from it because it's maybe let me think about it. The color's nice, I guess. There's some actual pops of color. Which is nice, as opposed to the first one, which is very Nolan. But then again, Nolan knows how to do color and shots, and that one movie really didn't. Huh?
Well, the Amazing Spider-Man films.
I don't mean to interrupt you again, Trillbee. Nope. That James Horner score, Brett, awesome. That James Horner Spider-Man score does not get enough love. It's really good. It's better than that Giacchino.
I think there's one or two good tracks from it. That's as far as I'd go for the James Horner score.
Can you name every good track in the Danny Elfman score? I'm kind of referring to the theme, I guess. Sorry. The
Danny Elfman one?
Yeah, like the Danny Elfman
the Upside Down Kiss, the Dr. Octopus theme, da, 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 da. I think it's awesome. The motif, da, 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 da.
Excuse me.
I'm butchering.
This reminds me of our American Hustle debate, where you're like, name one thing, and I named like the entire plot of the movie. I stand corrected. No, I know.
But the Amazing Spider-Man series is like literal garbage, as you said. But it's been
the second one's literal garbage. I like the
Okay,
first
so
movie.
it's both films, regardless of their faults, are very well cast.
Absolutely.
I like Rhys Ifans as Kirk Connors on paper. I like Andrew Garfield as a more confident, later years Peter Parker. I just don't think he's a terrible Peter Parker starting out. Emma Stone is a really good Gwen Stacy. I like Dennis Leary, Martin Sheen, Sally Field. I like on paper Dane DeHaan as Harry Osborn, Felicity Jones as Felicia Hardy, Jamie Foxx.
From now on, everybody works for Felicia. Okay, sure.
I think Jamie Foxx could have been a good Electro, but he was basically Jim Carrey's Riddler.
I liked him as Max. I thought of a positive. I liked him as Max. I thought that they were what they were going for with that character. I thought worked, especially with the tone of that movie, which is such a drastic. It might as well have been a reboot again. Like, it was so drastically different from the first movie.
It was kind of like going from the Amazing Spider-Man to Amazing Spider-Man 2. It was kind of like going from Tim Burton's Batman Returns to Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin in terms of tone and color palette and feel.
They're both really ridiculous. I know people love Batman Returns. It's not a good movie.
They're both really
guys.
ridiculous, but it is polar opposite tones and feels. Like there's even stuff in Amazing Spider-Man 2 that makes me think that Amazing Spider-Man 1 legitimately did not happen.
Yeah.
Like there's some scenes when Dane DeHaan's Harry Osborn is talking to board members and he's saying stuff, and it's like, this did not happen in the first film. Is this another reboot?
Yeah.
I genuinely got that sense from the Amazing Spider-Man 2. But like from I was gonna say, like I've lost my point. It was actually going to be a positive, but I forgot it, which just shows how passionate and how much I love this thing. But in terms of just like summing up Sony as just a corporate put the cart before the horse type of studio, Amazing Spider-Man 2 is basically the nadir of like the whole comic book subgenre. Like, there's technically worse movies like Catwoman and Steel and all these stuff, but like it's nearly a $300 million blockbuster that's setting up so much, and it's basically a 2.5 hour trailer.
Yeah.
If like I know movie Bob Chipman summed it up, like it's not even a trailer, it's more like a feature-length PowerPoint presentation for Sony shareholders.
It's almost as egregious as that email in Batman and Superman, I'll give you that.
Yeah, basically. I feel like the I actually did have a positive point for the first film, and I just can't remember it, and I feel really bad because I know people want positive stuff for this. If it comes to me, I'll mention it just completely unprovoked.
Yeah. You'll be sleeping and wake up at 3 in the morning. No. Yeah, no, I do really dig that first movie, and I like Jamie Foxx partly in that second one. I do see what they were going for with that franchise, though. I just think that's not. I don't think that's Mark Webb's fault. I don't think that's the screenwriter's fault. I think it's Sony's fault for trying to do so much. And you would have thought they had learned their lesson once. They didn't learn their lesson twice. They didn't listen, and then they're like, "We'll just do Spider-Man but with Ghostbusters," and they fudged it up again, and they couldn't do it again. And it wasn't until Seth Rogen somehow miraculously got us back Spider-Man, which is, we should all thank Seth Rogen for this, by the way, because they pissed off North Korea enough to hack Sony. Okay.
So I just thank Seth Rogen for everything that good that happens to me. He's not returning my calls, though. I'm very concerned.
He's busy with Sasha's Party too. Him and Ed Norton are busy making that sequel. That's such a good movie.
Yeah,
it's a good movie.
But just I know that you said you prefer the Amazing Spider-Man to Sam Raimi's first Spider-Man, which is that's a valid point. Of course, it's your opinion, but it's like with Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1, it's just a perfect amalgamation of like the Silver Age of comic books, and it is campy and cheesy and Saved by the Bell, teenagers at school, and all that stuff. If you're on that wavelength, I can completely you've got to be on that wavelength to get those sensibilities. Whereas the Amazing Spider-Man 1 was like, okay, how much can we be like Twilight? Okay, so we've got
all right, Trillbee. I'm gonna stop you right there, buddy.
Honestly, we've got a superpowered guy who stalks the love interest, this love interest who's got a policeman dad who disapproves of him. It's the plot of Twilight.
You have described the first Raimi movie. You know what I'm saying? Like that, the whole guy stalking the girl he likes. I mean, that's what he did. He does that in the first movie. I'm not here to debate.
I'm also talking about aesthetics. Like Peter Parker's even got the Edward Cullen hairstyle.
Look, Chubby, I'm not here to debate. Plus, that joke is 7 years old. Okay, like that. There's no reason to bring that joke back into things. I can bring up the Power Ranger if you want. Jesus, like there's no reason to call back old ridiculous things that don't make any sense, anyways. Because that haircut was popular back then.
David Tennant started it.
Yes. Well, okay, sure. And like I said, I can't defend that second movie. There's really not. It's bad. I liked it when I first saw it. It gets worse at every watch. It's the Reverse Winter Soldier.
I'm actually wondering, what was the release date for Sinister Six?
It was
or did they
late
have
last year, I believe.
Because Amazing Spider-Man 3 was mid 2016.
Yeah, I think Sinister Six was
okay. Sinister Six was planned for November 11th, 2016.
Yeah. Which ended up going to Fantastic Beasts or something. No, it went to Arrival. But
and Amazing Spider-Man 4 was paid for May 4th, 2018.
Yeah. We would have gotten Amazing Spider-Man 3 by last year. Jeez, I kind of want to see what that would have been like. I just want to see how they would have dug that grave deeper.
Well, I remember writing a article for GeekFeed.com, like the Amazing Spider-Man 2 day, on the day that Amazing Spider-Man 2 was meant to come out, and it kind of went viral. So, Amazing Spider-Man 3 day, June 10th, 2016. Yeah. It's kind of like how last week we were talking about Fan 4 Stick 2.
Fan 5 Stick, yeah.
Fan 5 Stick.
And how groundbreaking that film was, and I can't wait for Josh Trank to handle episode 10 of Star Wars.
It's like, yeah, the untold story in the trailers for the Amazing Spider-Man 1, that story remains untold after 5 years.
Look, I don't blame them. I separate the marketing from the movie, you know what I mean?
I directly blame Andrew Garfield. Directly.
Andrew Garfield's really been screwed over by Hollywood a few times. I think he was screwed out as Spider-Man and an Oscar, like that, because he should have gotten it for Social Network, but he didn't, because they gave it to Christian Bale, who should have been nominated for Best Actor. But that's a debate for another day. I have one more question we should answer here before we close out. All right,
okay.
I'll do one more. Devin Bell asks, are there any infamously bad movies that you almost like unironically? And if so, why?
I'm not sure off the top
movies
of my
that
head.
Just like that movie is terrible, but I like it anyways.
Yeah, well, there's a few. Like, I love watching The Room. Like, me and my brother watched The Room together, and we're so disappointed we didn't have a microphone recording our initial reactions, because there's a scene where in the room the two leads are having a very, very awkward sex scene, and
he's like going at her belly button or something, because from that angle.
Exactly, yeah. Like that's not where the vagina is, Tommy Wiseau. And then
that's the title of the episode. If we were to,
that's not where the vagina is, Tommy Wiseau. But then 10 minutes later, they do another sex scene, and I turn to my brother and I say, are they playing the exact same footage?
Yeah.
And he's like, I'm not sure, I think they are. And I'm like, yeah, I think they are, and I should know, I've got a pornographic memory. And I think it's one of the funniest things I've ever said, and I didn't record
That's the title of the episode.
I have a pornographic memory.
Damn, I wish we were having this episode's different. Oh well, you know what? Screw it.
And I was just so proud of my accomplishment that day, and I'm just good I didn't record it. But yeah, watching The Room is just a really fun time.
But if there are any films that are there films that maybe we help rephrase the question.
Okay,
are there films that? Go ahead.
Yeah, ones I like unironically. Yeah. The League of Extraordinary Gentlemen.
Like a movie that a movie that the world hates but you enjoy. You know what I'm saying?
Like, it's not a great film. I've not read the comic book or the graphic novel or whatever, but I think it's a solid steampunk, like late 19th century, like good amalgamation of like it's an early version of the Avengers, but it's public domain characters. Yeah. I think as an action film it does well. Okay. The special effects I think are really impressive, like the Invisible Man. I think that's actually a legitimately impressive effect when he's putting the face paint on around his invisible body. I think that was actually really good. I love Jason Fleming as Jekyll and Hyde. I think it's a really good interpretation of. Obviously, having Hyde as a Hulk creature isn't great, but I think the practical effects are really like them actually building an actual suit for Jason Fleming to walk around in was really admirable. I think as just a turn your brain off blockbuster, it has some really good merits.
Okay.
But this is me completely removing it from the source material, which I have not read.
I've got a list of a few I can think of. Percy Jackson, The Lightning Thief.
Is that one when Steve Coogan's like a half-naked centaur thing?
No. Yes. Wait.
You don't forget something like that.
I'm trying to remember, because one's Steve Coogan and one is Pierce Brosnan. And I can't remember which is which. I'm pretty sure Pierce Brosnan's in the first one. I'm almost... Yeah, because Pierce Brosnan's the teacher in the wheelchair. No, the first one's with Pierce Brosnan. You're thinking of Sea Monster.
Okay, so... my bad.
Okay, so... it's Percy Jackson, Transformers Age of Extinction, sue me. And I had the third one. God... I had the third one, but it's gone now. Oh well. Well, I had it, but now it's not
Can't have
there
been
anymore.
that good.
Huh? Well, I had it, but
good.
but there's loud noises happening outside my door, and it's distracting me. So I can't keep... I'm trying to keep my brain on track, and I can't remember 3 things at once. It's not how my brain works, unfortunately.
I'm just... One good way to find a list of this is just to look up a Mystery Science Theater 3000 episode guide and just see what they've got. Mystery Science Theater 3000. Birdemic. Well, I know the question says unironically, so maybe that's not the right way to look about it. I'm just trying to think of some films that have been poorly received that I genuinely do unironically like. I'm kind of boring, and I tend to go with the consensus a lot of the time. And if I go against the consensus, it's because something is very popular or very well received, and I don't like it.
Twilight.
Okay.
There it is. I couldn't remember. Twilight... Well, Eclipse specifically. The Twilight Saga Eclipse. The world hates every single one of those movies. But I will look anybody in the eye and say that Eclipse is a genuinely good movie, and I really enjoy it.
Sometimes it's interesting when you do a review of something that has yet to gain any traction on Rotten Tomatoes, and then you give it a really positive opinion. Then you go on Rotten Tomatoes a few weeks later and just find out that everyone in the world hated it.
Yes.
That's an interesting feeling. Okay, I'm just going through everything. I actually like the Divergent series Insurgent.
Get the fuck out of here. Get the fuck out. Scram.
I wasn't a fan of Divergent. I have yet to see Ascendant.
Allegiant.
I've not seen that one yet. So Allegiant. Yeah, the fourth one is if they're probably doing that as a TV series.
She dies. Goodbye.
But yeah, I think Insurgent is a good movie. I gave it 3 stars out of 5.
The second Maze Runner.
I've not seen any of the
world
Maze Runner
hates
films.
it. I had a real good time with it, and me and Bennett had a long debate about it too. Let me think.
There are some films where I go against the grain.
Well, people don't like that movie.
Man. Well, I think people don't have a disdain for it, like, say, Twilight.
Bandit hated it.
It's just, oh, yeah, he did hate it. Fuck Bandit. I'm kidding.
You know what, Shelby? That's the title of the episode.
Oh, no, because he'll see that.
Oh, my God. But how clickbait of that. Oh, you know what, Shelby? I might just title that podcast. I'll put that as the hashtag in the description. Oh, my God.
No, don't do that. Okay,
I don't have any self-control. I have to.
I gave 3 stars to Pride and Prejudice and Zombies.
Why? But why?
But
gay, Shelby.
Yeah, I think that's kind of I gave 4 stars to Ghostbusters. # no regrets.
You should have some regrets, Shelby.
I have no regrets at all.
Revenge of the Sith. There it is. I like Revenge of the Sith.
I can watch that and really enjoy the technical aspects. I gave 3 stars to Monster Trucks.
Why? Who in the world is going to care that you hate Monster Trucks?
The 5 people who saw Monster Trucks.
Including, it was you, Black Nerd, and 3 other people.
Yeah. I think Chris Stuckman might have seen it once.
I think Jeremy decided not to review it.
I think it's like the movie Everly with Selma Hayek got a really limited theatrical release in the UK, and it only made like £90 in 4 cinemas.
It's like that Shia LaBeouf movie
like,
that only sold 1 ticket.
Yeah, and if you're one of the ones who saw it, you can be like, wow, if I didn't see the film, the box office would have dropped by like 15%.
Yeah. I love imagining it. Like, how much money would that movie have made if I didn't see it? I'm like, well, I guess someone just would have taken my seat. Yeah. I always think about that. Like, how many movies... Like, apparently Harry Potter has sold... Like, the last Harry Potter sold, like, the most movie tickets, like, ever. And I'm like, how does that work if it's not the highest grossing movie ever? You know what I mean?
Well, Spider-Man Homecoming is... the box office figures are coming in, and it has the second biggest opening of the Spider-Man franchise behind Spider-Man 3. But in terms of the actual amount of tickets sold, it's the 4th biggest.
Oh, yeah, it goes inflation. And, like, Avatar made movie tickets, like, $3 more expensive. So,
but it's like how if Tim Burton's Batman from 1989 was counted the same way as The Dark Knight, Tim Burton's Batman would have made like 5 times as much money on its opening weekend.
Yeah, that's insane. That movie crushed. That's crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Which makes him work because like 10 years earlier than Tim Burton's Batman was Star Wars. Star Wars made like $700 million in 1977. Like.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
that's Disney.
That's
money.
what I'm saying, man. Like, no wonder Disney doesn't have to pay for Pride. Like, they get that. Like, it's like when you realize Gone with the Wind made $1 billion in 1939. You're like, well, no kidding. Or the movies were out in 1939. But like, Jesus, man, how much money do you have to make? Like, that's I'm just spitballing at this point. But, anyways, yeah.
So I'm just looking at all the written reviews I've done. I gave Run All Night, which is the Liam Neeson film from 2015. I gave that 4 stars.
I really like the what's that one? Plane Taken on a Plane.
Non-stop.
Yeah, I really like that one. Yeah,
yeah, that was fun.
Have you seen that Key and Peele sketch? What about Non-Stop though?
I've not seen that one. No.
It's them as doormen, and they're talking about the movie, and they talk about Liam Neeson and Non-Stop, and it's really good. So you should. It's a good Key and Peele sketch. That and Negro Town are my favorite. Have you seen the one about Negro Town, Shelby?
I haven't. I've only watched like a couple of Key and Peele
I recommend
sketches.
Negro Town, and you'll watch that and be like, no wonder he made Get Out. It's so funny. Oh man. Okay. You know what? And with Negro Town, we'll close out this episode of the Movie Mania podcast. Thank you all for listening. Like and subscribe.
This is the longest podcast in a while,
Yeah,
isn't it?
it's the longest one since, like, X-Men and Ferris Bueller, probably. That one was, like, 320.
But how appropriate is it we're talking Ferris Bueller and then Spider-Man Homecoming?
Yeah, apparently the 80s just make us talk for 3 hours. Jesus, Chilby. Alright, Chilbert, where can people find you?
You can find me on our website at www.trilby.com, on my Facebook at Mr. TARDIS Reviews, and my Twitter at Trilby Reviews. And you can also subscribe to the Film Brits podcast on SoundCloud or on iTunes, and also contribute to my Film Brits Patreon at www.patreon.com/Trilby. And Trey, where can the lovely folks find you online when you're not liking Twilight?
I always like Twilight clips. Come at me. You can find me on right here on my YouTube channel, Podcast Media, Twitter and Instagram at Podcast Media. If you guys ever need to contact me, those are the ways to do it. Working on working on stuff. Being a staff member, San Antonio Film Festival, fun. August 1st. Come, I'll probably be there. Don't shoot me, please. My short film is coming out in a few weeks. The tiredness just hit me. I hit 3 a.m. trade right now. What time is it over there, Shelby?
It's 1:30, 1 a.m.
And hashtag fuck Bandit.
And I should know how to fuck Bandit. I have a pornographic memory.
Oh, bother. Alright. Alright. Catch you all later on Movie Maniacs. Almost forgot how to end it there. And my nephew is...
What the hell?
Screaming.
1 second. I've just got to Google something.
Uh-oh. Someone die? Am I getting text?
No.
Okay.
What? What is this? Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
What the fuck?
This isn't even a new thing. The trailer came out in April.
What the fuck?
This is an actual thing.
That's awful. Guys, That's
but
awful.
it's basically a remake of the 1970s
This is a 70s
film.
Yeah,
but it's
Tom and Jerry.
are
So
just
they're
in
gonna be
it.
chasing around, and they're probably Tom's gonna eat something and grow big and chase Jerry as a blueberry or whatever.
The Oompa Loompas are mice.
Oh, so they're not just like inserting Tom and Jerry. They're like full blown just remaking it, but with Tom and Jerry.
But we still have Charlie Bucket, and somehow they get into the factory.
He's still a white kid, okay.
This is an actual thing.
Well, they did.
Look into Charlie Bucket's dead eyes.
Well, they're looking at Scooby-Doo. They did Scooby-Doo WWE, didn't they? So I mean, that's not super. Oh my god!
The title card at the very end is Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and at the bottom of the title it says original movie. It's not original. It's Tom and Jerry, and you're taking the iconography from the 70s film. Fuck off.
Well, no, I
Fuck right off.
Who
I have to Tom and Jerry? It's Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. No, I have to leave this in.
Fuck off, Warner Brothers.
Fuck off with your Tom and Jerry's. Oh.
Is this going to be the outtakes at the end of the podcast?
I'll stick this in at the end. I'm watching it right now. Oh my god.
I hate everything about... They're just taking the songs.
Oh my god.
They're taking the... They've even got the shot where the kids are taking all the lollipops, and there's like one behind the other, and they're like...
Grandpa's Joe is still dancing and everything.
I hate this. I hate everything. I hate life now. We as a species don't deserve this.
Well, it's got 3.4 thousand dislikes. So
dogs are looking at us right now and thinking, why do those fuckers get to wear clothes?
Hold on, I'm still watching this trailer.
Don't you dare say you're an original movie. Tom and Jerry, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory.
So it's just Tom and Jerry just in the movie? Like they just put them in... They just remade as an animated movie and just put them in it?
Yeah.
Because, like, everything's happening the exact same. Like, the swans, the TV... I don't understand where that would fit in. Like, they've got the wallpaper.
They've got the golden geese, like from the original 70s film. It's not the squirrels from the book or the Burton remake.
You know what, Chilby? It's time to read some comics.
It's time to just.
I want to read some comments. All right, let's.
It's time to just drink bleach and hope the pain goes away.
Let's see. I hope by 2050 we have Tom and Jerry and Scooby-Doo and WWE, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Super Slam.
I would prefer that, because it's not crapping all over a 70s legacy.
Someone says I'm excited for Garfield and Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. These guys are having too much fun. Oh, well, all the clips are already on YouTube, Trilby. Oh, man. So, yes, you know what?
I might just review it, because I know the video will go viral.
I am down for this, Trilby. Tom and Jerry, Reservoir Dogs. Someone's commented that. I'd watch the heck out of Tom and Jerry. Quentin Tarantino's Tom and Jerry sounds exciting. I'd watch that forever.
I don't want to see Quentin Tarantino's Toy Story. Like, imagine him doing the toy graveyard and the toys are just ripping limbs off
Only
people.
if Sam Jackson voices Woody and John Travolta voices Buzz. I'd watch that forever. I'd watch that for hours.
And it's not a case with like a gold glow inside of it. It's a toy box, or it's like a Pizza Planet pizza box.
Gene Wilder's spinning so hard in his grave he's going to drill into the earth. That's what someone just said. Oh man, Tom and Jerry meets the Wolf of Wall Street.
I thought you were going to say Tom and Jerry meets Wolfman.
Tom and Jerry, I'm sure that's already happened. Tom and Jerry, 12 Years a Slave. Jesus Christ. Oh, I could do this for hours.
What's the name of the Solomon Northup in 12 Years a Slave? Can you imagine him getting, like, he gets kidnapped, but in the back of the truck or the carriage where he's about... Tom and Jerry are in the back there, and they follow him on the journey.
I like to imagine, like...
Can you imagine Snowpiercer with Tom and Jerry as they make their way to the front of the train?
I would just, like... Well, actually, I'd watch the heck out of that. But I'd like to imagine, like, it's like Tom and Jerry as, like, the slave owners. Like, so, like, Paul Dano's character will tell him he's a slave.
Oh,
but it's like Tom. So, like, it's like like it's Tom singing that N-word song over and over.
Now I've got an image of Chiwetel Ejiofor just yelling at Tom, just going like Thomas Paul Dano going, if there was something wrong, it was wrong with the instruction.
And Jerry has to be Michael Fassbender, so it's like they saw him like looking at the ground, yelling at like this mouse, being like, "Come here, boy."
So if we're doing this 12 Years a Slave crossover, who is the Tom's owner?
Oh my
in this
God.
story,
I don't know.
Who's the stereotypical
it's a black woman?
lady?
It's always a black woman, isn't it? Oh, sometimes it's a rich white family, depending on
or
which
is she
version.
the Lupita Nyong'o of the film?
Dude, yes. Oh my God, yes. Instead of Lupita Nyong'o, it's like a black woman. You never see her head. Like it's always shot from her neck down. Oh, so like when she gets whipped and everything, that really harrowing scene of her being whipped for like 10 minutes. It's just a body. Guys, let's do this now.
I don't know if this segment of the podcast should be left in.
Movie maniacs. Let's do this now. Chilby's uncomfortable, but I'm so on board for this. It's not even
We've gone
funny.
over the edge.
We'll stick it at the end, Chilby. I always do. We'll stick it at the end. Here, I'll make a mental note. Here, I'll put racist segment goes at end. There it is.
Okay, but Tom and Jerry Wolf of Wall Street. Tom's on the boat. I will not die sober, and then he gets the catnip out.
It's just Jerry snorting cocaine up a woman's ass.
Oh God!
Oh my God!
You see what you've done to us, Warner Brothers, with your Willy Wonka.
My favorite comment, though, it's by this guy, SC Assassin, on the YouTube comment. It's just in quotations, original movie. I love that comment so much.
That original movie thing at the end. They've got to know that they're shitting.
Let me put a timestamp in for when we use. Here, let me close out our internet here. That looks like so much fun. Okay. Oh man, Shelby. We're on Spider-Man now, right? We're about to jump into Spider-Man.
Please, can we change the topic?
Yeah, we'll jump into Spider-Man here. I'll put a 7 now.
I was just looking on Twitter and I saw the screenshots of it, and I was like, "That's not a real thing." And I googled it, and it was.
I might just make that a separate video. Oh Jesus. Okay. I might tweet out that audio and say, anyone want to have fun with this? Go on ahead. Alright, Chubby. Then I guess with that, let's get into Spider-Man.